This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox newscast. Welcome, everybody, to the X&C Podcast, episode 213. Cranking right along. I'm your host, Colteastwood, and the other host is Middle-Aged Game Guy. What's going on?
It is. Oh, not much, man. Well, I mean, not much. Just doing my thing. Busy summer, as it always is. Preparing for vacation, so that's happening at the end of the week. Oops, I choked on my water. Yes, I will not be
whiskey.
here next Monday. I was telling, yeah, right, whiskey. No, I had enough of that this weekend. Okay, let's not get into that whole situation. Either way, yes, I will not be here next week. I will be away with the family. So yes, I've been preparing for all of that, and then everything else, and then plus work and making sure that work is going well when I'm not there and all that jazz. So yeah, it's been really busy, and I've been sort of keeping an eye on everything that's been going on. Obviously, we're going to be talking about it tonight. And then our thoughts and feelings. I have not made a video about any of this and whatever. In fact, a lot of it I stepped back from well, we'll get into the reasons why. And it's not for the reasons some people think. It's
Ooh.
I just yeah.
We literally didn't have time to talk pre-show, so I'm curious to see how that's all going to unfold.
Yeah.
I spent
How about you, buddy?
Good. I spent the last part of the week and over the weekend on a camp out high adventure hike with my son and the kids his age, and
very nice, nice.
Smack the top of a lava tube cave. We went in this thing called Ape Cave in Washington. It's 3 miles of just a tube of rock, 50 feet underground. It's for you Americans.
Jeez.
It's 42 degrees in there all year long, no matter what the weather is. It just it's a kind of a cold, you need a jacket type of temperature in there, and we all had headlamps on. You can't see a thing. Once you get in there and walk 10 feet, you're toast. And I smashed my head into a corner of the little stalactites. Thankfully, I had a baseball hat on, but I was like holding my head, like hopefully that's not a bad injury. But other than that, had a really great time and did a bunch of hiking, saw some stuff. It was good, and then I'm back and. I don't know. What did you do this weekend?
I had a bunch of stuff going on. I ended up having to work all weekend because my partner at work, she needed the weekend off. So I'm like, listen, I'll cover for you. So I had to work my regular work week, which is Tuesday to Saturday. Then I also had to work Sunday. I even had to do stuff today on my one day off. But however, I'm taking the Saturday off next week, so I'm getting an extra day off in preparation for my vacation. So so it kind of worked out. So I had to work extra day. I basically worked like almost 7 days last week. I worked like 6.5 days.
Jeez.
And so I was super busy with that. I streamed 3 times last week. I released 4 videos last week. My last one was 3 days ago. No, 4 days ago. It was on the Thursday, I think it was. Thursday. Yeah, no, it was Friday. Excuse me, Friday.
Yeah, which is one of the topics. That was what your video is about.
Yeah. So
I also saw a little bit of your stream with that blue number, Holly. You guys streamed older than dirt video game.
I was about to get into that, and I was going to say, instead of getting caught up in the whole, but this weekend was just wild to watch from the I know jazz hands, right? It was so wild to watch this entire thing that I'm saying I'm not gonna get involved in this, and there's a reason that, like I said, there's a reason for it, because funny enough, as I was looking at some people were tagging me and stuff and whatever, and even on my I was about to say Facebook, Jesus Lord, my YouTube
your MySpace
page. Yeah, my MySpace. On my MySpace, it's still operable. I use dial-up for that, by the way, and people were just sending me these horrible, nasty messages and stuff, and I'm like, "What did I do?"
out of the blue?
Anything. Yeah, like just say these horrible things because they're like,
wait, let me see if it was me.
It was
okay.
You,
No,
Colt.
it wasn't me.
You sent it to me. You sent it to me on WhatsApp. I saw it. But anyways, yeah, and they're like Sony's going full slate, this and that. You effing fraud! And I'm like, wait,
step into a Slim Jim.
I'm like looking left to right like John Travolta. I'm like, what? And then some guy 3 days later goes, "You make a video about Fable, but not this and this bad." And then he went crazy. He started calling me all these swear words. And I'm like, I made that video before this job listing happened, you psycho. But I'm like, okay, whatever. So I stepped back and I said, you know what? I'm not even going to do this. I'm not going to do this because I'm going to get caught up in some nonsense. And then, and like I said, there's already toxic people all over the place, all over social media and on YouTube and everything else. And I'm like, this is just deplorable. And I'm like, I'm not going to get involved. However, we are going to get involved with this tonight because you and I are relatively level-headed people. The chat are incredibly wonderful people, except for Noisy Mofo. Yeah, sorry, he sent me a thing with a pony on it.
Of course.
But yeah, the chat's awesome and everybody's great. And then the maggots are always fantastic and very supportive and wonderful. So we will have a level-headed conversation tonight and have some fun. But either way, here we are. So yes, Saturday night, instead of getting involved in all this vitriol and nonsense and people screaming from both sides, I said, you know what? Let's have some fun with that blue number. And we went on her channel and we live streamed a game. And it is a 1970s arcade game. And it is a murder mystery game that was done on a laser disc. There are only 10 cabinets, arcade cabinets on the planet. And she went and played that at Galloping Ghost, of course, the world famous arcade in Chicago. And then later found out that you could actually purchase this game on Steam. And she's like, what? So she bought it on Steam, and her and
she has a Laserdisc player?
She has a Laserdisc player, of course, right next to the 8-track.
Oh, man, my Laserdisc came in.
Yeah, exactly. Like this big. Yeah, you could actually put it over your head when it's raining. Yeah. Put a stick on it, put it over your head, and
they use them as hats in the Blade Runner movie in 1982. Yeah,
that's right. Actually, and actually, if you go to Vietnam, if they run out of those the rice paper hats, you can actually put a laser disc to prevent you from getting sunburn when you're in the rice fields. So anyhow, we played for 3.5 hours on Saturday. And we had such a blast, and it was so ridiculous and so much fun. So if you haven't seen it, go to That Blue Numbers channel. Go check it out. We had such a good time, and it was nice and refreshing to have some fun with the community. And like I did last week as well, I streamed Silent Hill 2 for almost 4 hours on Friday, getting near the end of that game, played a lot of Borderlands, and I'm getting excited because now in a couple of weeks when I get back from vacation, I'm going to be playing Mafia on the channel. And then, of course, we're going to dive right into Gears of War with the Xbox and PlayStation community, and Helldivers, which I just re-downloaded today. I'm ready to go because, I already have it. I'm not going to buy it again. So I'm like, okay, guys, it's cross-platform. Add me. You know my name. I am the Mag. Add me. Let's go, man. I want Xbox and PlayStation community together, and let's play some Helldivers as well. And top-tier maggots, as I was saying before, you can actually directly squad up with me, and we'll live stream and get your voice on the channel and everything. So get a little exposure out there and have some fun. So that's what's going on.
Yeah,
sorry, that was a mouthful.
It sounds like you made the right choice because it did get pretty messy once that news started to break. And you and I did the show last week. There was a little bit of talk about PlayStation putting more games onto Xbox, and there's a reason why I said that. And some people are like, "Oh, you called it," but I told you many times I don't have a source, but sometimes I get to talk to people who do, and there's a lot to dive in with that. You and I were talking before the show. What's that?
I was going to say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but isn't it funny you and I had this entire conversation 5 days before everybody else?
Yeah.
Like we went into depth with it for like 40 minutes last Monday. We talked about this whole thing and what our thoughts are. And now it's kind of funny we could come back and revisit and see if our thoughts have changed along the way, right? So it's kind of cool. There's a little bit of an evolution of the topic. But anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, it sort of sounds like a concept what you and I were saying last week. And one of the big points you and I were making last week was PlayStation can say, well, the game's going to be on Xbox anyway via Steam. Why not cut out the middleman and maybe strike a deal with Xbox so that we get a bigger share instead of sharing it with Xbox? And Xbox may say, sure, more games for us. It's a win-win for both parties. There's some interesting sound bites, some quotes from journalists, and there's a whole bunch of stuff we're going to break down today. Before we do, one of the things I did once I got back from the weekend was my wife and I watched Happy Gilmore 2, and I remembered I have this Happy Gilmore shirt, so I put it on, and you and I were just saying before we hit the live button that we both watched the Happy Gilmore 2 movie, and we're both like diehard Gen Xers, and Adam Sandler's like run on Hollywood in the late 90s, early 2000s was meteoric. He made some of the best comedies of his time for a good 8 years until he kind of fizzled out. But I've always been a big fan. You and I kind of line up the same way. You said you waited how long to watch Happy Gilmore 2?
It was, I really enjoyed it, and I wasn't sure what to expect. But Adam Sandler did say before the movie came out, by the way, 509 Gaming, you can ask me, Splinter Cell is still coming. Anyways, I sat down and started watching the movie. Of course, he hit all the same beats. You know, he had Leonard Skinner playing at the beginning and all that stuff, setting up the new movie. You know, what's happened in the 30 plus years, which is insane to me that it's been 30 years, but the 30 years since the last film. And we're just sitting there going, I know, dude, I saw Happy Gilmore in the movie theater with all my friends when I was younger. So anyways, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching, I'm like, all right. And then immediately it just starts in with some of the gags, the jokes, and I thought it was hilarious. For the most part. Yeah, there's a couple areas which sagged a bit, but not much. But that's any movie, right? But I mean, the standouts, and I won't get into spoilers, obviously. But like standouts were a lot of the cameos in there and stuff like that. But this is not a spoiler. John Daly was absolutely hilarious. He was in the trailer, so you know that's not a thing. And same with Shooter McGavin was hilarious. So like it was all like, and then like I said, I won't spoil the other ones because some of them are really funny, some of the cameos, and I really had a good time with it. And pacing was good. The second half really picked up from the first half, because it kind of slowed down, when he's down and out and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, all right, let's go, man. It's a comedy. That's the one thing about comedies that I have an issue with, and a lot of people tell you this. Comedies have to clip along. They have to move along. You can't sag. And the reason why you can't sag, and that's why most comedies are about 90 minutes long, right? A 90-minute movie is where you can, keep it moving at a solid pace, get the story in, get all your gags in, and keep it moving. This movie clocked in at 2 hours. So if you added up, yeah, it did. It was an hour, 57 minutes. Right. So the thing, no, it didn't feel like it at all, but it was. But when you get a 5-minute sag, a 5-minute sag, a 5-minute sag of like little areas, that's where you could see that 30 minutes you could have shaved off that film, right? And you could have kept it at a tight 90, and that's how you do comedy, right? So, but anyways, other than that, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, you and I were 21 when that movie came out, and I was a very young 21. And I remember I was in a little place called Plattsmouth, Nebraska when I saw that movie, and I go watch it. I don't. I just expected it not to be super great, but when it comes to movies, and sometimes when it comes to video games, if it will entertain me, I'll have a smile on my face, and it really just pays homage to the first movie more than anything. So it's worth your time watching. Other than that, with video games, I'm still cranking along with Star Wars Outlaws. It's kind of getting tiresome because I'm trying to do everything I can, and then I realize maybe I should actually start doing quests, but still has some issues. But I'm still glad I'm playing it. So that's where I'm at with gaming.
Yeah. I'm actually playing Diablo 4 as well. I was
still in between.
On it. I'm still Well, I mean, it's a big game, right? So, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying Diablo 4. I'm not playing with anybody. It's just me solo. But I'm really having some fun with that too. Like I said, I'm playing other games while I'm streaming and stuff like that. So I got like 3 games on the go right now, and whatever. And that will increase as the games start coming out, more frequently now. Starting next week with is it next week? No, the week after with Mafia. And then it's just a tidal wave. It's a tidal wave all the way till November. So it's going to be something else. But man, wild times, and it's a lot of fun, man. And as a gamer, this is a good time to be part of this ecosystem. You know what I mean? Like to be part of this this hobby of ours with all these wonderful games that we got coming out. So and I almost bought, by the way, full disclosure, Chad, I almost bought a Switch too. Like, dude, it's getting to me that
You're gonna buy a $600 Donkey Kong game? Is that what's getting you?
Dude, it's my kids. My kids are getting to me.
It's your kids, Monty. It's not about your kids.
It's your kids. Yeah, they're trying to get you to buy the Switch too. No, Doc, no. No, Doc, indeed. Anyways, the thing is, I keep hearing that the screen is just awful. Can anybody confirm this? I've seen.
Yes, it is. Well, I mean, I hear people say it's not that big of a deal, but the screen's a downgrade. Real quick, I got to give a shout out to Kurt5150, my bro in the chat, who is who's hanging out here. We'll be hanging out soon. He is part of the Under the Bus Network podcast on Wednesdays, and Mag and I are going to be making an appearance there this Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Yes.
So I will send out some information about that. But if you check out UTB or Under the Bus on YouTube, you can find those guys, and they just talk about whatever. So Mag and I will be off leash. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's going to be
fun. And in the end, only one of us will be standing, I'm pretty sure.
What? This is a fight to the death? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, with
I
Q-tips.
haven't trained. I haven't trained.
With Q-tips dipped in KY jelly. It's going to be probably one of the most insane battles. You remember the old in the late 80s, the Gladiator show where they stood up there with the stick with the foam thing? Yeah, it's going to be like that.
American Gladiators.
Very precarious situation. Well, with the Q-tips, it'll be a deathly. Itchy1 says.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Itchy1 says, "Hey Colt, when is your Grounded 2 review?" Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm truly sorry because it's a huge privilege to get access early to a game to be able to review it. But you have to understand the decision that I made when the game came available to me 2 weeks ago. I sat down and played it for an hour. I showed my kids a little bit of it. They're not actually supposed to look because it's under embargo. But they won't say anything because, they're not on Twitter or whatever. You have to understand, we have 400 plus hours. My son and my daughter and I fully through the game a couple times. And we started to play an hour of the game, started to look at things, and we're all of a sudden we're like, I don't want to do this till it's out because it's out in 2 weeks. And I said, I don't want to play through any of this content without you guys because I'm apologizing for not taking advantage of that incredible opportunity that Obsidian and Xbox afforded to me. But I don't know how to illustrate to you how much that time with my 2 kids in the backyard of Grounded did for us as a bonding experience and probably one of the best gaming experiences I've had online or cooperative with people. I can't overstate it, and I took the decision to not even do a Grounded review. I'm not going to have that on my channel. I'm missing out on the views and the privilege of everything, but it's really super important that my 2 kids and I dive into that head first starting tomorrow night. So I'm sorry.
Good.
That's where I'm at. I don't know what you remember what you were going to say before I answered that question.
No. That was it was another topic, but no, that's. Hey, listen, man. If it's doing something for you and your family in a positive way, then that's the most important thing. Yeah. And I look at something else, like for example, when I stream with my son, Wolfman, and we did a bunch of games earlier this year when I first started the channel, and him and I were playing It Takes Two. Split Fiction.
I know we all do it.
We did Split Fiction, and now we're playing Borderlands together. We did a couple of other games too. I can't remember off the top of my head. And yes, it's important, right? My daughter's a little too young right now. We're not exposing her to YouTube in that fashion of her being on it. But and then my wife is there too. So you know what I mean? That's the most important thing. And if nobody sends me a super chat in my live streams, whatever, man, because at the end of the day, our family's having fun and we're having a great time. It's not there for the money. I'm there for the bonding experience, like you said. And if Grounded was your big bonding experience with your family, I would imagine that Grounded 2 will do the same. And that's wonderful, man. That's absolutely wonderful. So
thank you.
That's the way it should be. You know what I mean? So do your thing, have fun with your family, because listen, at the end of the day, YouTube ain't always going to be here, but your family's forever. Remember that.
No, that's true. That is true. Thank you, Mag. Rune, thank you for the Canadian $2. Says happy Monday, Pookies. Another great
super. He always calls us that. I love that.
BT Maverick, thank you so much for the $10 super. Says get ready for more goalposts moving, more asterisks like it's only multiplayer games, it's only China Project games. MLB made us do it. It was published by Lego. It's only old games. Every first party is a year or older. Yeah, those are all quotes we're probably going to be talking about and breaking down what or why that means. Andy Hart, thank you so much for the 5. Says, I don't believe Sony released anything on other platforms, but it's good business sense to make more money on an old IP. For example, an original God of War or Spider-Man. Andy Hart also adds 2 more and says, my all-time favorite comedy is Trading Places. Trading Places.
That was Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy.
And I haven't seen it. Sorry.
What?
I know
that
I
was
haven't.
way back. That was early 80s. That was when they were both on Saturday Night Live. So that was
Yeah.
like way back when. Yeah.
I've always heard great things about it, but
Yeah,
a lot of great
I mean, it's
comedies.
like now. I mean, like now, it may not hit the same. Like some comedies, like I mean, that still like stands the test of time and stuff like that. But like at the same time, some of the jokes don't land the same because we are no longer in that. You know, it's not the same. I mean, it's the same world, but not the same world. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like some of the jokes don't land the same because we don't have the same. The way that society is and the mentalities and stuff like that. It's just not exactly the same. So it's a little different. But either way, that some of that comedy gets lost in the mix. But other than that, it's still a well made movie, fantastic. So it all works out in the end.
Yeah, I should add it to the backlog, I suppose.
Turtle turds, I know, man. I know.
I saw Turtle Turds. He said he's just playing, but yeah, there's two different mags. There's the mag when he's under my thumb, and then there's the mag when he's under someone else's thumb. No, but like I've said many times on the show, I've seen people a couple times try to call out something you said on a PlayStation podcast, and I'm like, he says the same thing on Monday. It's like you just don't like how the people reacted on the other side. So
that's what it is. You know, it's funny when I did that last Thursday, and I said, by the way, disclaimer, I literally said the exact same sentence 4 days ago on Monday. So I said the exact same sentence there, and they're like, you see, you know, like this is how they type. And I'm like, okay, go back and go check it out. But whatever, man. I don't pay attention to those people. Toxicity is I don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
It's not worth it anymore, dude. It ain't worth it anymore. Not anymore. I'm not a teenager. I don't want to listen to that nonsense. But anyways, yes. Let's talk, buddy. What do we got to talk about?
I was going to say before the show started, somebody made a picture of me like hunching, oh no, it's Alex. And I went and looked at the replies and everyone's like, what's wrong with you, dude? Like they weren't even like laughing they're just making fun of him. But just after a while, you just kind of laugh it off, I suppose. And maybe it was a real picture, maybe it wasn't. We're going to talk about the gaming news. I'll give you guys an idea of what Mag and I are going to discuss. We're going to talk a little bit about Xbox pulling back their price, what that means. So that'll be kind of a short topic because it's a few days old now, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Gamescom is coming up, and they've just detailed some of the things to expect there. And we're going to talk about PlayStation's third-party initiative. And then there's a pretty big Xbox next-generation console hardware leak that I might gloss over. It's really techie, but I completed a video today at the end of my work shift, and that's ready to go out public tomorrow morning. So we might kind of brush up on what that means for next generation. I'll tell you this, it's very, very powerful. So expect the next generation consoles to be even better than the ones we have right now. And that kind of goes without saying, but in a lot of great ways. So I will cover that a little bit with Mag here. But first of all, I want to talk about Outer Worlds 2. Outer Worlds is a Game of the Year contender franchise. The very first game in 2019 was a first-party game from Xbox. It was published by Private Division. It's an Obsidian Entertainment game. It got the nomination for Game of the Year back then. Didn't win it, but the sequel looks to be even better. But let's be honest, it really seems like not a lot of people are as excited or hyped about the sequel. Like they're kind of like, yeah, I like Outer Worlds. Yeah, let's see what they have. Instead of, oh yes, I've been waiting for a sequel for so long. And Xbox used Outer Worlds 2 as the out of the barrel game to say our premium titles are $80, which you and I lambasted Microsoft and Xbox for stepping in front to be one of the first next to Nintendo to say our premium games are $80. But Outer Worlds 2 has been cut down to a $70 title. And I guess I want to start and hear what you have to think about the lead up to that and what you think their whole plan is behind this, or what were they thinking?
I could tell you, I have a theory about the rollback in terms of the prices.
Lay it on us.
I think a lot. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. A lot of people, I think, were. I'm thinking a lot of people were thinking, oh, there is a possibility. I don't know because I don't know those numbers, so I can't say this definitively. But people were like, oh, the pre-sales must have been horrible and this and that, whatever. That may be the case. However, that's not the road I'm going down. That's just something I'm presenting because some people brought that up. It's an interesting thought. What I'm thinking is this: if you look at Xbox and PC. specifically. You would imagine that the majority of the people that are going to be playing Outer Worlds 2 are going to consume it on Game Pass, right? So that being the case, their sales on Xbox and PC may not be as high. Maybe PC, because not everybody on PC is on Game Pass, which is insane to me because it's half the price of the console, right? Of the console price for Game Pass. It's $10 for crying
But there's
out loud.
like 10 times more people on PC than there are on Xbox Series. Sure.
Fair.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is this: when you have, like, for example, they're attracting for sales wise, like I said, I would imagine most Xbox people will consume it on Game Pass. I would imagine most people in this chat and whatever will be playing it out there if they're going to play it at all.
I'll do a poll while you're talking.
All right, cool. So what I'm thinking is they are looking at the PlayStation for the actual sales, not all of them, but like maybe the more of the majority, like PlayStation and PC, will be the sales part of it. Now, if you look at the release cadence in the fall, you have, now this is where it gets interesting, and this is why I'm thinking they had to get in line. You have Borderlands 4, which was 80, and then Pitchford dialed it back, and well, he didn't dial it back, but he announced it, sorry. Take-Two dialed it back and said, no, we're charging 70. So think of the optics of that game alone, right?
Well,
so imagine you come out. Yes.
You think that Borderlands 4 was going to be 80, but they announced it at 70, and it probably was going to be 80. Is that what you just said?
No, they did say it was 80 originally, and then remember Pitchford about a month ago, he dialed it back and said, actually, it's going to be 70. Remember that whole controversy when he had it? We talked about it here. And
right.
said,
I think,
well, when I had
if I remember right, they were like, oh, is it going to be $80? And Randy Pitchford said, hey, if you're a really big fan, you'll get the game day one. So he didn't.
Right.
They never. And correct us if we have this off. One of us or me. Correct me. My memory is that Gearbox and Take-Two never said $80 for Borderlands, but the defense from Randy Pitchford was so strong. It was like, it's got to be 80. And I think you and I talked like, I think that's what happened. But I'm also in agreement with you that when they announced the $70 price, that was them saying, tear down the $80 price tags. It's not worth it. So that's my take.
So I'm seeing some of the chat. They're saying the same thing. They're like, "Oh, it was never announced." Okay, I was mistaken. I thought it was announced for 80, and then
it just about was announced. So I don't blame you.
Right?
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, if you can remember where you were.
Then Pitchford had actually said, "Actually, guys, the game will be $80, or sorry, will be $70." Blah blah blah. When he released that tweet, right? And that was about 3 weeks ago or so. So I'm like, all right. He said that. He made it made it definitive. It was 70. Then, if you're looking at the release cadence in the fall, you've got Ghost of Yotei at 70. You've got Call of Duty at 70. But then you would have this big, giant sore thumb sticking out going, oh, hi, Outer Worlds 280. Right? So I'm thinking if you look at those 4 big games that are coming out in the fall, again, Borderlands, Ghost, Call of Duty, and Outer Worlds, 3 out of the 4 are charging 70. It would seem a little bit out of place to charge $80 at that point. They'd be like, you know what? That's bad press that we don't need. Why don't we stick in line with everybody else? Maybe let somebody else make the first move, so to speak, when it comes to these $80 games. And I have a feeling that the company that's going to be making that $80 leap and won't give a rat's bottom about it is going to be Grand Theft Auto 6. And they could do whatever the hell they want. You know what I mean? They could just go like this. And pause that. I'm here.
Pause that. You're going to love this little factoid I'll shoehorn in. I heard that Grand Theft Auto 6 is set to make $2 billion in the first month, which could almost match 1 year of Hollywood's revenue in the movie industry. Like currently, because, Minecraft recently made a whole bunch of money. But I heard this factoid, then somebody corrected me and said, Minecraft made like $70 billion. But Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be, this is my prediction, the biggest video game release of all time. I really think it's going to be. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. And I think at that point, but they can do whatever they want. But I'm just like that. What I'm just saying about them charging $80 is strictly speculation. I see Tuggernaut in the chat has said a few times now, he's saying there's a rumor that Battlefield 6 could be 80. I have not heard that rumor, but Let's
I
just leave
believe
that
it.
open because we don't have any definitive proof. So therefore, let's just leave it as there. But either way, like I said, you have all the other fall releases launching at 70, and then you've got Outer Worlds at 80, and it's also available on Game Pass. You know what I mean? It's not a good look. It's not a good look because
it's not.
It's not a great look. So, like, you know what? Just leave it alone. Charge it at 70, and look at your poll, Colt. Look at your poll. 66%, not that one. 60.
Okay.
66% of the people in the poll so far are going to be consuming this game on Game Pass. So there you go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
two-thirds
And this is a pretty good.
Yeah, 2/3.
This is a pretty good demographic as to what you could expect out in the wild in terms of the Xbox community, right? So you've got that there. So charging 80, it's not. Yeah, I don't think that was a good plan from the beginning. But that's funny. Fine. They're not doing it. So
there's as many people willing to buy it on PlayStation 5 as there are willing to buy it on Xbox, which says, and shout out to almost 600 people who are watching. Thank you so much for being here, which says a lot about the diversity of the audience that engages and is part of the show and the discussion as we kind of try and figure out some of these things. In my opinion, Mag, is, I wanted to ask your opinion. Do you think that the $80 price tag of Outer Worlds 2, there is a good chunk of people that are like, I'm not buying it because of the principle of $80? I was sure I wanted to play Outer Worlds 2, but $80, I am making a stance on principle. Is there a good chunk of people like that, or were the
I don't think so.
pre-orders
I think it boils
really
down to
low?
money. I think it boils down to money and enjoyment of the first game. So, like, if you didn't, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's be frank here. If someone didn't enjoy the first game as much, I tried getting into it. I couldn't get into it too much. I found some of the dialogue stuff really kind of slowed down the game for me a little bit. Now, I understand it's an RPG, and I've played RPGs with, with dialogue trees and everything else. I've done all that, but for some reason, I was struggling with this one a little bit. And so I'm like, all right, whatever. But I don't think that people are going to be making a full stance. I'm not going to buy this because it's 80, because at the end of the day, you're not going to hear much of that from the Xbox community because they could just get it on Game Pass. And I would imagine, like I said, and you saw it from the poll itself, it went up to 67%, by the way, is that most people will consume it over there. So who's taking a stance on the $80 price tag? The only people who are going to be taking a stance on that $80 price tag are the people who are not in Game Pass. I don't know. It's not an easy answer. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we don't know how people think. We could speculate, but I mean, I can't get inside someone's, lizard brain and figure it out.
Yeah, everybody's really different. And I think I think that Microsoft, their thought process was $80 means we're going to make $10 more on every sale. That will add up fairly quickly. We talked about that exact point with Borderlands 4 a couple months ago. But I also think that maybe Microsoft and Xbox think, let's go ahead and charge $80. We'll make $10 more on the units for the people that want to buy it. But maybe that extra $10 says, you know what? I'm going to try Game Pass. And then we get them hook, line, and sinker because they're going to play Outer Worlds on there. They're going to get Gears Reloaded right after that. They're going to have access to Tony Hawk, which just came out. They're going to be able to play Doom if they didn't. And they're going to have a Ninja Gaiden 4 coming right afterward. And then they just got Grounded 2. Plus all the third-party games like Silk Song is coming to Game Pass maybe at the end of this year or early next year because it's playable at Gamescom, which we'll cover. But rewinding, like maybe Xbox thought, hey, that extra amount that like pushes people over the edge, maybe we can talk them into going to Game Pass. But I don't like that style of business, kind of like a strong arm thing. Like, you don't like it, go get Game Pass. And that actually goes against some of the things that we hear the Xbox leadership say, like, no, everybody doesn't have to be on Game Pass. Game Pass isn't for everyone, as they say, but dang, they sure would want everyone on there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's another possibility of like trying to funnel people into Game Pass, right? So like it was like, okay, well, let's see if we could funnel more people into that service, but I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to work out in the end of the day. It's just it doesn't seem like Outer Worlds is the game to do that. Like, I think like a game like Call of Duty would be the bigger, like Call of Duty, which is a month before.
Yeah,
Sorry, what were you going to say?
Good point. No,
that would be the bigger game to funnel more people into Game Pass, right? You'd be like, hey, listen, we're charging $80 for Call of Duty, but You know what I mean? It's right here. Like that's the bigger marquee title that I would if I was in charge utilize. To
Outer
funnel
Worlds
people in,
2 is supposed to be like really alluring, you know. For the people that like the first one, they're promised an even better version. But for you, you didn't really like the first one, but maybe you're like, oh, they say the second one's better. Maybe I'll like it more. Doesn't that push you to say, I'll try it on Game Pass? I'm certainly not going to spend $70 and roll the dice and see if I end up liking it. Shout out to Noof Nukem in the chat, a good mutual friend of both
Noof,
of ours.
how you doing, buddy?
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Mag? Like, what does it make you decide to do when it comes to Outer Worlds 2? Right now.
I'm going to play it on Game Pass. No, I'm going to play it on Game Pass. I mean, I'll do that, and I'm going to give it. I'll give the college try because I'm like, okay, maybe the first one. Listen, it's not always the case with every series. It's not that every single game is going to connect with you right away. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, let me take another one. Uncharted 1. There was a lot of people out there that didn't like Uncharted 1, and then Uncharted 2 blew their socks off. They're like, wow, this is you know what I mean? It's amazing or whatever. That's just a small.
I liked
small
the
example.
First one. I had no problems. I loved it.
I loved them all. I loved them all.
Hey, Meg.
Halo 2 was I know that Halo 1 was like the it was the innovator, but Halo 2 was the better game. That was the bigger game. That was the one that was like, wow. So some people are like, yeah, this game is awesome. And then you play Halo 2 and you're like, holy crap, this is really awesome. Whatever. So I don't know. It's just, I'm going to play it, dude.
Meg.
Yeah.
It's got a triple barrel shotgun.
That's insane. Yeah, I have to play. Well, the last time I saw triple barrel was Doom, right? Or was it Wolfenstein?
Bulletstorm.
Was it Bulletstorm?
It was Bulletstorm. Yeah, it was a inline 3-barrel shotgun in Bulletstorm, but this one it's a double barrel with the third barrel underneath in like a triangle formation. Like hexagon barrel. Yeah, triple barrel shotgun and a shrink ray where you can step on the enemies. That may not do it for you, but the triple barrel shotgun should be good. I don't know.
All right, see Marvel, I'll agree with you. Sorry, he was saying Halo 2 was the innovator and the better game.
Okay, that's what you said. You said
No. I said Halo 1 because it was kind of the birth of a whole new genre of.
Well, I agreed with you.
You know, like in a. I mean, it wasn't the first person shooter, but we're not going to get down that rabbit hole. Colt, you're gonna have to excuse me for a second. Someone is calling me 4 times, and it seems to be urgent. Can you give me a moment?
Oh yes, of course.
Talk amongst yourselves, folks. I never do this, but something's going on.
I agree, dude. It's fine. Yeah, I'm like, what do I do? I'm all by myself. My last opinion on Outer Worlds 2 is it should be really, really good. I have a feeling that Outer Worlds 2 is going to be smaller received. I think that it might have less sales, even though it's available to everybody, unless those review scores come in at like okay. I mean, the last one was, I think Outer Worlds 1 was an 86 or an 87. And this one could be that. Like, it would have to be like a 90, which I don't know if Obsidian makes 90 level rated games, but Outer Worlds 2 would have to like really win people over. I have a feeling the reception is going to be really good, but there's something about Outer Worlds 2 that has people going, yeah, we'll see, instead of being totally hyped and ready to jump all over it, because it's not new and exciting and fresh like something like Expedition. But then as I sit here, I think of all the other exceptions, like the second Kingdom Come Deliverance, like blew out the gate and did amazing. So I'm not sure. Let me look at the next thing here. Let's talk about Gamescom. There's a little bit here, and I'll let Mag interrupt me if he comes back because I'm on the solo screen here. But Gamescom is happening in Germany at the end of August, and I had thought about going, but it's like a $2,000 plane flight, and my good friend Dante Spriggan, who's usually in the chat once in a while, a good friend, he said that he got an email this morning. He's like, I won! And he showed us a screenshot, and they said, you've been selected to go to Gamescom. And then under the email, as you scrolled, it says you have tickets available to go to Gamescom that are paid for, but you need to have your own flight and accommodations, because they are giving away one winner that they will fly to Germany and pay for your accommodations. And if you apply for FanFest, you could be that lucky winner. Well, Dante wasn't. He's just won tickets to something that he can't go to. So over the next couple of weeks, I will probably be putting out feelers for people that are in Europe or UK or planning to go over to Germany that would like to go, and maybe they can get one of the +1, because you can't transfer your tickets or your winnings as far as I know. But we'll dive into more about that. But that's a frustrating thing. Xbox says 10th anniversary of Xbox Fan Fest, and they're going to hold 50. I don't know how many winners they're picking. 100 winners, and most of the people are probably outside of Europe. So I just can't imagine them having a really good turnout. Why did they pick Germany? Gosh dang it. That's so frustrating. Some of the things, thanks to a breakdown from Clobrel, that we're planning to see at Gamescom. One thing he didn't cover in here, I'll start with first, is a big announcement of sorts from Bethesda, which is quite possibly the announcement for Starfield and its port over to the PlayStation 5, and hopefully a tease into what is coming in 2026 for Starfield. Sounds like the Starborn DLC is totally on the table, still in the works, and they're taking their time. When that announcement comes, watch on this channel. I'm working behind the scenes on a really cool project about people who like or love Starfield or want to know if there's something left that you can sink your teeth into if you want to revisit the franchise, because I always keep it installed. I've got a lot to cover, and it'll be a little collaboration on there. I'm really excited about that. At Gamescom, we're going to get the first publicly playable demo of the Xbox ROG Ally X. I'm going to keep an eye out, see if Meg has to message me. Okay, Meg, you didn't have to jump back on, but you got to go. I just now saw it. Okay.
Jump in with Cole, please do so, but I've got a family emergency. I need to leave immediately.
Okay,
so,
you message me later when everything calms down, and we'll talk, buddy.
All right. God bless.
Okay.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, God bless, buddy. Wow. Okay. Holy smokes. Wait, come on, hit the right buttons. You do not want to see stuff like that. You know, life rolls along pretty swimmingly. And I remind myself of this all the time, where you don't have like an emergency. Holy smokes. I hope everything's good, but knowing Meg, he will put a headlock on it and he'll send it to the ground. I will give you an update when Meg says something that's publicly available, but big love to Meg. He's amazing. Game Seeker, thank you so much for channel membership gifts for 10 people. Can't even speak right now. Game Seeker and I talked for 9 hours yesterday while I workshopped up the video that's going out tomorrow, and we talked about Starfield and other stuff. Great friend. Shout out to him. Michael Mooney, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. He says, comedy peaked in North America with Blazing Saddles and the UK movie Life of Brian. Michael Mooney's talking about some old classics and stuff you probably don't really watch these days anymore. But KY Bob, a good friend of the channel, and Game Set Live podcast extraordinaire on Wednesdays. Thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, as an electronics engineer, I know that hardware profits always go toward development of more hardware. It doesn't matter how many consoles they sell. That doesn't pay for game development. He says, mic drop. So we will dive into the PlayStation stuff. I'm going to send out a feeler to see if I can get can you join me on XNC right now? ? Yeah, so I'm going to read that again because my brain's all over the place. KY Bob says, as an electronics engineer, I know that hardware profits always go toward development of more hardware. It doesn't matter how many consoles they sell. That doesn't pay for game development. Mic drop. I've never thought about that. I always think of like the big pot where PlayStation sells all these consoles and they make a profit on it and they dump that into more games. But if you've listened to PlayStation since 2018, they've talked about the purchase of their games, the attachment rate of people who buy their exclusives, and the high cost of those games. And we're going to get into that as well. Let's see here. Holy shnikes. Let me grab. This will mess this up real quick, but I'm just grabbing this. There we go. All right. Okay, let me grab this, and I'm going to send out a thing there. Okay. You guys are amazing. Over 600 people watching, and it's just huge head Colteastwood. I really appreciate you. I'll also try and keep an eye on the chat. Magnum says, please don't let it be Zocker. Alfonso says, get Dreamcast guy. That'd be amazing. Let's get the Crap Gamer in here. Crap Gamer, why did you flip and then flip and then flip? I like Crap Gamer. Him and I are cool. We talk once in a while, but I have no problems with some of these guys. Yeah. All right. Let me get back to the topics. You guys are amazing. Well, oh yeah, we were talking about Gamescom. Playable demos will include Hollow Knight Silksong, Grounded 2, which comes out tomorrow, Ninja Gaiden 4, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and the Order of the Giants DLC, which I don't even remember what the release date for that is, but I'll get back into Indiana Jones at that point. Super Meat Boy 3D, which is an isometric version, and so much more, and then a Black Ops 7 reveal for August 19th. One of the other news pieces that was all over the internet on was the Battlefield reveal, which I just kind of didn't really watch that stuff. I saw enough of Battlefield to say, oh, it looks good. Hopefully the campaign's amazing, because 2049 didn't do it for me, but sounds like people are pretty hyped about Battlefield. Are you? It's Vince Sampale. He can't mess it up. He's amazing. So, yeah. You guys, this chat, you guys are something. Yeah. Our good friend Fonz is out of town with his family, so he hasn't even really settled into his new move yet. So we will see when he's going to be back. So, all right. Crap, I needed mag for this. This is the next news item. And it could be disappointing. According to Special Nick of Xbox Era, which was reported on his podcast on Saturday and didn't break until, I think, Tuesday. Yeah, it was the day after our last show. So this is kind of old news, but he believes that Fable has been pushed to 2027. And I wanted to give some of my best expertise in what I think could be happening. I don't really feel like a 2027 release window would be something they're talking about right now. If you're familiar with timeline graphs or work project graphs, where they have these long, wide horizontal maps where they put out all the project milestones of major projects that are years in development. And when, let's say they'll have all these bars that are staggered, and one thing could be to build out the mission structure. And if that one is late, it has items attached to it that will be shifted down the line. I'm doing that in the direction that you'd be looking at if you're looking at the map. So is it possible that 18 months from now that Playground Games will be saying, I don't think we're going to hit November or December of 2026? I think that seems like kind of a stretch, but Special Nick is hearing from someone who's talked to somebody at Playground Games that this is the reality, that they're still needing more time. The problem is that Fable has been in development. I think we even talked about this rumor last week that Fable was started as early as 2018. It was I think I talked to this on Renegade Realm podcast. That's what it was. Yeah, Renegade Realm. Sometimes I get on a podcast, I'm like, did I cover that here? That Fable was a fantasy RPG by Playground Games. It was a concept they were working on in between Forza Horizon. And when Xbox acquired them, they said, hey, why don't we make this Fable now that you're with us? And then they kind of shifted that. So this game has been in the works for almost 8 years. So my optimism is not inclined to believe that Fable is being pushed as far as 2027. John Clark, his co-host, another great guy, said that he's hearing the total opposite, that it's totally on track, that they're working for 2026 and he hasn't heard any problems. But in today's market and Xbox's very difficult situation they've had with announcing games early and not having them ready to show, we err on the side of caution with Xbox, and that Fable could be delayed until 2027. But here's another thing. Nobody likes to talk about it, but if Fable is set for fall or holiday, let me speak worldwide. If Fable is set for September through December of 2026, we get into the spring of next year and Rockstar moves Grand Theft Auto into the end of the year, then someone I talked to said they would absolutely move Fable 2 to 3 months away from Grand Theft Auto, which means moving it to 2027. But there's no way Playground's making that decision right now because we're all expecting Grand Theft Auto to come out May 26, 2026. So I don't know. Justy Spud says maybe the Fable PS5 port. That was another piece of news that came down, was that those games are being worked on for PlayStation, and you should believe that Xbox will do that. If you're looking at Outer Worlds 2, cutting the price down to keep it more desirable or more enticing to everybody across PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Game Pass, Fable has to prove its worth as well, even though Fable might be Xbox's most hyped game coming now that Perfect Dark has been canned. This is Paul Harvey. Good day? Yeah. So anyway, there's an old reference for you. Last Monday we talked about PlayStation exclusives and PlayStation exclusives and the thought of exclusivity, as it is known in the industry, to be dissolving. And it's a phrase I use often because it pisses people off. Because when I say exclusives are dissolving, I am specifically illustrating the idea that they are eroding away, or they're not gone. They're not completely nuked. They are just deleting away that definition as we know it. Because I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'll end up getting ahead of myself anyway. Last week we talked about the exclusivity dissolving because I talked to someone that was saying things that sounded very, very believable. And so my thought process was PlayStation is probably looking at fast tracking something like Fair Games and putting it on Xbox day and date, and taking some of their games as a service titles that are multiplayer and saying, let's just put them on Xbox. 30 to 36 million consoles is nothing to sneeze at. And if the viability and the lifeblood of your franchise could survive by having enough players and enough purchases, then you need to make it happen. So PlayStation is probably looking at something like Fair Games. Marathon's already multi-platform, and some other titles that they've been working on. They have like 12 games of service titles in the pipeline. They're probably saying behind the scenes, are we putting these on Xbox day one? The math checks out. We should just do it. That's what I think they're doing right now. When it comes to their single player games, PlayStation totally can get away with selecting older or early PS5 release single player titles and putting those games on Xbox and saying, well, they're just old games. They've been out a long time. We've already exhausted the purchasability of them. Nobody's buying Horizon Forbidden West anymore, even though they just announced $38 million across the whole franchise, mostly due to bundles recently. But are they going to do big, major, tentpole, iconic mascot games from PlayStation? Maybe not right away. But if you're looking at getting outside of the gas games, the multiplayer games, and putting them on Xbox, then you can look at a couple of single player games. And one that I proposed last week was Housemarque's Returnal. It sold about 500,000 copies on PS5. It did fairly well on PC. Nobody's really buying it on the PlayStation anymore. Why not throw that on there? Helldivers is already coming. It's a games as a service title. Throw something like, hold on, I'm going to grab this list really quick. There's a bunch of games that PlayStation has put out, and I'm going to tell you what they could put on there. gosh. Hold on. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. I'm live by myself. I'm Colteastwood, but I might get somebody in here to jump in the show and give their opinions as well. I'm trying to look for the first party listing of PlayStation games. Here it is. And this just be for, so looking at the titles that PlayStation could bring over, Returnal is one of them, which is smaller. Rise of the Ronin is not made by them. It's just not on Xbox, and PlayStation doesn't have to give that game up, but they could, I don't know if they could, they published it. So they could publish it on Xbox. So Rise of the Ronin, which is a samurai game that was, Returnal, another game they could put out. I'm trying to stay away from the mascots right away. Lego Horizon. How do I say this out? Trying to sound like an insider. An insider told me that Lego Horizon, an insider that talks to a source, all right, take it as you will, told me that Lego Horizon is totally coming to Xbox. And I think people have been talking about that. So Returnal, Lego Horizon, Rise of the Ronin, and maybe Stellar Blade. Maybe. I don't know. But PlayStation could also dive into their really big legacy titles like Uncharted, Legacy of Thieves, or the Nathan Drake collection. Imagine bringing a 20-plus-year-old franchise to Xbox for the first time. It would sell like crazy. Here's where it gets a little bit messy, because a lot of people have been saying Spider-Man should come to Xbox, and no doubt it would sell incredibly well, right? But Christopher Dring, who used to work at GamesIndustry.biz, he's working with Gaming Biz? Games Biz? I'm sorry. I like Chris Dring. He's working with Jeff Keighley on this site, and he was interviewing Matt Piscatella of MPD Group. And Matt Piscatella looks at all the physical sales and console sales all across North and South America. And he said, I have the quote here. Chris Dring said, as we said on the Games Business Show, that's the name, this week, the role of exclusives in selling consoles isn't as significant as it was. People aren't switching machines away from their library and friends. Exclusives still bring in new console users, but expect multi-platform to become normal, close quote. And that quote is from Matt Piscatella, which Christopher Dring totally endorsed that statement, that exclusivity or multi-platform will become normal. I did a video on this channel 8 years ago saying exclusives, what was it called? Exclusives don't sell consoles, I think it was, because around 10 to 12% of the users that own the consoles buy those exclusives on average, like across Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation. Well, Nintendo's different. So I've been saying this for a long time. The problem is that the games are so expensive, the PlayStation has to look for other avenues of revenue, and Xbox has definitely already started doing that in full. I've got somebody else coming here in just a few minutes to join me. Before my voice runs out, please hit the like button to show your support and to help me with my vocal cords as we get through the news topics. Christopher Dring was responding to Destin Legary. I love Destin Legary. He likes to kind of poke the bear, but he always does it respectfully. But he likes to kind of get people asking the hard questions. And he proposed the idea that Marvel Spider-Man, like the definitive edition, just imagine this. Imagine that PlayStation said, let's sell the definitive edition or the remaster of Marvel Spider-Man 1 from 2018 on the Xbox console and see how it does. I propose that Marvel Spider-Man would sell more copies than Forza Horizon 5 did on Xbox. The Xbox user would more of them would buy Spider-Man than they bought the hottest Xbox exclusive, Forza Horizon 5. Well, Chris Dring didn't believe this because Destin Legary talked about this huge revenue spike they would get from, I'm going to look up his tweet here so I can read it to you. This huge revenue spike they would get from bringing Spider-Man over to Xbox. And I'm just going to say right off the bat, it's on the thumbnail, but I don't believe that Spider-Man is something they want to bring to Xbox, at least for another year. I think they're going to use this year as a test bed. Before I read Destin Legary's comment, in 2019, there was a major job announcement that was touted around on RDX, on my videos, and on social media that PlayStation was going to go more multi-platform and they were going to look into new initiatives, and no one believed it. They believed it was just cope. They believed it was for something else. And 14 months later, I'll add this here's a little story. In 2019, I had a really cool privilege to sit down with Tim Dog, my wife, and Aaron Greenberg for dinner after the showcase in 2019. 2019 was probably their worst showcase. They showed Halo Infinite, a trailer that wasn't even real, and nothing else big was revealed outside of the full gameplay of Gears 5. Not a good E3. And I asked Aaron Greenberg, I said, when do you think PlayStation is going to put their games on PC? And he told me in 2019, never. He goes, if they did, it would be years. They're never going to put them on PC. They're always going to be exclusive to PlayStation. That's just what they do. 14 months after that conversation, PlayStation announced Horizon Zero Dawn coming to Steam. And what followed after that was God of War Ragnarok, God of War 1, Spider-Man Remaster, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank. Let me look at the list. Death Stranding. I said Horizon Zero. Horizon Forbidden West. And so many more. Did I just get somebody joining? I did. Let me move this over and make a couple changes. Otherwise, we'll have the wrong name. There we go. Your name won't fit until I make some changes. Hi. How are you doing that blue number?
Hello. I'm good.
Let me check your mic.
Everybody can hear me? Check.
Oh, yeah.
Checked one.
I think you got your cam mic, but make sure it's on your regular mic, and I will get everything else set up while we do that. That's Discord for you. It will just check. Sometimes you have to tell Discord. All right, speak again.
Hello.
There it is. Okay. I just need to bring you up. There it is. That blue number. Okay, let me get this. Did you hear what I was saying so I can keep going? So the job announcement was in 2019. 14 months later, the whole slate just started piling one after the other, and most of PlayStation's biggest games are on PC. So this job announcement today definitely means something, or this week. So, that's it. I'm going to read Destin's tweet, and then I'm going to ask you, Holly. Hey, say hi to everybody. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm good. I had just got out of the shower and I saw the emergency tweet text, and I was like, hold on, I'll be right there.
I love it.
So
I love
here.
it. What have you been up to, and what have you been playing? I'm going to get to the Destin's tweet. I'm going to go find it, and then tell everybody about you. This is your moment. You're famous.
Oh, it's so, well, that's not true, but so much pressure. Everybody who's saying hello in the chat, thank you very, very much. It's all good to see you. I have had a lot of life busy, but now everything's back to normal, and I have, like Mag told you guys, I've been playing this amazing arcade game that's just it's just like a choose your own adventure book, but with like the worst B-list like stills that you could record. It's great. And I've been playing a lot of Eric's Home. I love Eric's Home. I am so obsessed with that game. Eric's Home. It came out 2 weeks ago. Yes, tomorrow. And it is like a top-down stealth game. And I'm not a big isometric fan, but in this game, it just works perfectly. And the story is really good. The aesthetic is like Victorian England-ish, like early turn of the century. It's fantastic. It's almost kind of like, well, there's no combat per se, but it just kind of sort of reminds me of Plague's Tale with like the story of a girl and her brother.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. Anyway.
Okay.
That was my shameless plug for Eric's Home because it's really good. I
was like sweating bullets here trying to cover at least two people talking. I didn't know how to do it, but
you got this.
I was talking about Destin Legary said, I love how fanboys scoff at Xbox's 30 million consoles like it's nothing. Even if 5% buy the game, that's 1.5 million copies. That's 105 million in revenue. And guess what? Spider-Man would sell. Great tweet, right? And Christopher Dring says, well, assuming everyone buys it at full price at $70, and Destin goes, wait, 70 times 1.5 million, is it 70 million? And then Chris Dring says, well, you're not factoring platform store fees. You haven't counted dev costs and marketing and all this stuff. And Destin's like, when do we ever like take that off of a sales figure when we're talking about games selling across a platform? And some of Christopher Dring's take was that Xbox fans wouldn't buy Spider-Man because they all already own it, or it's not on Game Pass, so they wouldn't touch it. Holly, your thoughts?
I feel like this is a setup. It's like putting your hand in the mousetrap to feed it and it snaps, right? Like,
tell me why you think he's wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
My goodness. I mean, out of all of the games to use as an example of people wouldn't buy, it's not Spider-Man, right? Like, literally everyone that had any interest in Spider-Man would purchase that thing. And Sony would be just fine making money on it, whether it was sold at $50 or $70 or $40, because I guarantee the return on investment for them to port it to Xbox would be huge, right? Like, they already have a PC port. The amount to take it over to Xbox would just be even that more minimal, I would think. And even then,
just
like,
be certification and achievements and some of that stuff. Yeah.
So, and then even then to argue, well, the exact revenue on that many figures is kind of, it's just taking a little far anyway, because now you're saying, well, that you agree with that figure when, you know what I mean? The figure could be all over the place. It could sell 4 times that, right? And then it's definitely worth it. So, I don't know. I think that there's been so many years of Xbox community being frustrated for the lack of games and seeing all of the shiny objects on the other side of the coin, right? That they would be more than happy to experience those, or love to be able to experience those as they came over. Like, I actually think Uncharted would do extremely well on Xbox, given the Lara Croft and some of the others, right, and sort of that genre. And who doesn't love Nathan Drake? Like, I hadn't had a PlayStation since the 2. And when I decided to go buy a PS4, when I went out and like looked, okay, I'm going to buy a PS4, I waited till I could get that Nathan Drake edition blue with his silhouette on the side of the PS4. Like, there's a lot of love around those franchises from everyone.
Oh, I love them too, and I haven't played them since. Well, I played 4, but I haven't played the trilogy since the 3rd one came out. I played all 3 back to back, so I would absolutely love it. A funny thing you made me think of is those games. You said those games are already on PC. The Rumble design and the UI buttons for an Xbox controller are part of the porting process to PC, right? Because when you play, when I play Stellar Blade, it's got X, Y, A, and B, and the bumpers, it doesn't say R1 and R2. So I feel like, I don't know I would love to talk to someone who knows better than you or I, but I feel like some of the porting process, you're right, has already been done when it comes to making an Xbox version compared to the PC version. I'd love to ask that question to someone.
I think anybody who ports a game to PC, like, always makes it with both sets of controller configuration, right? Both the DualSense and the Xbox One. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like it's not that far.
And as an aside, this week it was announced that, or maybe I can't remember how long ago it was, that PlayStation 5 DualSense controllers were receiving support on other devices. So PlayStation is planning on people picking up their favorite DualSense 5 controller and playing on something besides a PlayStation. That job announcement really outlines that really well. I want to take a second to.
And I hope.
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
No, sorry. I was just thinking about traveling with a PS5 controller, and good luck, because the battery on them is so bad. I just wish they could find a little workaround for that somehow and help with the battery on those, because it's brutal. But I'm spoiled too. I play on the Elite, and the Elite battery is forever long. Like
it's 40 hours.
Fantastic. Yes,
it's 40 hours versus 5 on the DualSense, and I don't know. The Xbox controller probably has. The Xbox controller's fatter, so you just get a slightly bigger battery, and that's why it lasts a little longer by standard. Yeah. But I want to give a shout out to our channel sponsor 4XP, and I've been drinking a ton of 4XP, and I also, when I went on my camp out, I brought some of the joysticks, and I shared White Gummy, Watermelon, Ultra Nightmare, and the Blue Raspberry with a couple of people, and they were really excited, and they were chugging 4XP. They're a great, just add them to water. And you can go on their website and order a shaker. You can get the small joysticks, or you can get them in a pouch and scoop them into your favorite carrying liquid dispenser of choice. 4XP is awesome. They're great. They're great gaming community people that watch the show. They love gaming, and they love staying energized and not falling asleep during long cutscenes. So check out 4XP. The code that I have on there has probably been, I forgot that we just went past July 4th, but go to their website. It's in the description. You can check out what their latest promos are and what they're doing. These are great guys. Go support their product and get some 4XP so you can get some delicious energy without all of the fizz and crazy overload of sugar you get from the alternative. 4XP is awesome. Thank you for being there. You get from the alternative. What the heck? Oh, I can hear my voice echoing as Dante jumps in, but he will fix that, and I will go to a. Oh, I can hear my voice echoing as
Dante has this like very high-end roadcaster that like beats him senseless every time he tries to use it.
Delicious energy. Delicious energy. Okay, let me go to podcast 3. And I will, yes. And then I'll change his name because that's not who he is. And, that's not who he is. Okay, Mag did message me, but he is not going to be back for the rest of the show. So we will hear some echo until, okay, there's no echo. Yeah. All right.
Shout out to Mag. Hope everything's okay.
There's no echo. Yeah. All right.
Shout out to.
You're still getting a little bit of echo, but we will. It's quiet, Dante, but I don't know if it's coming through a. I don't know what it is. I'm not there, but yeah. Shout out to Mag, everybody, and send him a message if you can, and we will. Hopefully, we'll see him back. Yeah, I don't know.
This was me, like the first 10 minutes of my stream with Mag. Like, hey, I'm talking, and then like 5 minutes later, they're like, "Can you hear Mag?" And Mag was screaming at him, and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, some podcasts like take
difficulty stuff.
Yeah, some of these podcasts take like 35, 45 minutes to start because they can't get cameras or mics working. But yeah. Oh, hold on, I got to change this third overlay as well.
How's that?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right.
Oh, there he is.
Hello, everybody.
It's good. It's working. Everything's good. There we go.
You gonna turn on that camera, you handsome devil?
No. I had to switch some settings on inside of the Rodecaster because the audio wasn't coming through. The actual Rodecaster was coming through like the headphone mic. That's why you was hearing that feedback. So I apologize for that, everybody.
Okay, I will get, and I'm going to turn you up on my side so you don't have to do anything. All right. There we go. Hey, it's hard running a show. It's difficult. Dante, how are you? Well, let me give you an intro because Holly's been on the show, and Dante is another actual real life friend who I met at Xbox Showcase in 2022, I think it was. And we've been friends ever since. Before that, we were playing games like The Division 2, and he is also a podcast extraordinaire on the Infinite podcast, and he has been making his way downtown, watching faces go. I don't know the words of the song, but Dante, You're awesome, and you always make me laugh. It's good to have you here, even though you're just a little kitten on the screen.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. Excuse me. Yeah, I was on my way home, and I was in a little bit of traffic, and I was like, "Oh, all right." I saw the back call went out, so I was like, "Oh, let me get in." So, and I saw Holly responded, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get in there and chop it up for my family." So, how you guys doing?
Good. We were talking about Spider-Man. I don't think Spider-Man's coming to Xbox console anytime soon, but how do you think it would go down if Spider-Man landed on Xbox console? How would it go?
I think the PlayStation faithful would lose their minds if that happened. Sadly, those who are already kind of on the fence and going crazy by that recent news about them working on potentially bringing games to multiple platforms, including Xbox. I think that group would not be able to handle it. In terms of PlayStation, I think it'll be a smart business move because it's like, hey, you're putting your games in places where more consumers can actually get to it. And I think that's one that would basically travel well, where people will purchase it. Like, you see this thing that people kind of make these things where some people are like, oh, well, look how good it did for the sales of Final Fantasy coming over to Xbox. Look how good that did. But it's like, well, you're ignoring Horizon did really, really well. So it's kind of like certain titles I think will travel regardless of what platform it is. And I think Spider-Man would be one of those ones that they would see a nice return on it, where they'll probably sell millions of copies, even on the Xbox side, even for a game that's been, several years old in terms of its release. So if they do that and then they see that, oh wait, we were able to sell another million or so copies, then you will see this become a more than 4 games, just 4 games. This will become a thing where more and more games will be, cross platform between the two different things, and those who are really, really beholden to their plastic will not be so happy. So yeah, we'll see.
Have you seen some of the meltdowns going on with this prospect of PlayStation putting something that's not Fair Games or Helldivers on Xbox?
Yeah, it's really weird. I saw someone also post a link recently too, where they were like, "Oh, it's only going to be like some smaller games and live service games." So, my thought process on this is like, that is an undertaking to pay someone to port your game over to another platform, right? So why would you do that for games that you don't feel will make a splash on the other platform? What is the purpose of that, right? If the idea is to make money, why are you doing something that you feel would be like smaller titles where basically Xbox fans will be like, that's cool, but we're not interested in that? But to me, that doesn't make sense business-wise.
You see that, but the 2 out of the first 4 were Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that... I was thinking about Returnal, right? Because you brought up Returnal, and I saw a lot of people engaging about Returnal in the chat, and to me, Returnal is a pretty niche game, right? Like it's kind of brutal. It's a roguelike, right? They had to do a lot of updates and send out a lot of patches to get it to a place where I feel like the majority community enjoyed the game, right? Because they had to add like save points and stuff along the way that weren't there. Anyway, so like Returnal, I think, still even has like a larger audience than a Pentiment or a Hi-Fi Rush. So I guess, like, and do you feel like they were happy with how Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush sold on PlayStation? Who knows?
But I think we also didn't think that Pentiment was going to do really well over there. Hi-Fi Rush was the one that kind of shocked me. I thought Hi-Fi Rush
but they
might have an
chose
opportunity.
that.
Yeah, so I didn't make that. To me, that made no sense. That was kind of like them saying, okay, we'll give you these kind of like, maybe not as, like Hi-Fi was a splash within its launch, right? But I don't think it sold what they probably would have wanted it to sell, right? Pentiment definitely wasn't, but it's made by a really good studio, and the game's a good game. It's just a different type of game. Yeah. But to me, that wasn't like a good indicator to be like, let's see how well these games can do on the opposite side. Forza Horizon was that type of game to see like how many units can we sell over there, and Sea of Thieves was that type of thing. Right.
Yeah.
So to me, those made sense as to like, you would put those games over there if you really want an indicator if there's an appetite from the PlayStation audience to purchase your games. I didn't quite get the Pentiment move. I was a little surprised that Hi-Fi didn't do well, but like the Pentiment one kind of even then was a little bit like, oh, okay. I felt maybe that was like, we want to give that game another chance. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we're doing a solid to Obsidian to basically give that game more life. If they maybe got that game out at release when it hit the Xbox side, maybe that would have been a better timing for it. But I think after the fact, didn't do Pentiment any well. But I think when they saw what Forza Horizon and what they saw with Sea of Thieves, I think that was the thing of like, okay, you know, games that people are really interested in will move no matter what side they're on. And if PlayStation is taking note, they would do the same. Otherwise, to me, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I feel like
Malik
the breadth of games.
Pentiment and Hi-Fi.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is the Discord thing. Sorry, I was saying. Malik said Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush were used to not piss off Xbox fans as much, and I don't think that has anything to do with why they chose those particular games. That's not it at all.
Right. They knew they were going to piss them off either way.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
That's why
if it was
so
me, I'd just rip the
dodgy.
Band-Aid off, go big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say in that same vein, when you and I were talking at the same time, that I feel like that group of games, that first 4 was kind of an eclectic mix because like nobody's going to buy Pentiment. So let's throw that out there and see if nobody's going to buy Pentiment on PlayStation. I really feel like they chose that. Maybe they were doing like Josh Sawyer a solid and saying, hey, you know, maybe more people will pick up this game if we can get to a bigger audience. But I felt like it was kind of there was a group of straw man games there because definitely Hi-Fi Rush. You're like, I don't understand why no one bought it on Xbox because it had like 2 or 3 million players. It didn't sell really well on Xbox, but maybe that was a PlayStation game. Maybe PlayStation guys would buy it, but shockingly they didn't. And Sea of Thieves is so darn old. Like, would PlayStation like adapt and pick up where everybody's been leaving off? And they did. So I almost feel like Xbox didn't know what the heck they were doing with those first 4 games, but they got a wide survey, right, of what could happen.
And maybe it's that part right there.
Well, do you think they were just trying to test the low end to see like what is our low cap here?
Yeah.
Right. And then it can only grow. Right.
Yeah.
But to your point, right, is you were talking about porting over Sony, like smaller Sony titles, right? And I'm just saying, like, if Xbox saw from their side, right, like the low cap is here, let's go, then I'm sure Sony has zero issues, right, bringing theirs this way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I just think at the end of the day, some of this is also driven by, I think they saw the top 10 list and saw like there was several Xbox games making that list since they've been putting some games over there. And they said, if they can do it, why not us? Right. You know, like we are who we are. We make our first party games are generally coveted. You know, why are we letting them come over here and dominate our charts and we're not basically doing the same thing? That's kind of the way I feel to a degree. Right. And I think that just makes sense business wise. Like I say, this is the one industry that's kind of weird where, like, you know, the idea was to sell software and so that gamers can play them. And I understand the value in exclusivity. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not someone who's like against that. It brings someone into your ecosystem. But at the same time, like, if you make software and games, you want as many people as possible to be able to play those games. So it's like, it's one of those weird things where it's kind of like you're gatekeeping it in hopes that, but then you're upset saying like, this game didn't make enough money. So to me, it kind of makes sense for most of these platforms to start getting to a point where like, hey, like I want them to get to a point where the differentiator is what does my console do that your hardware does not do? But the games are pretty much wherever, right? Because I'd rather have that argument on I purchased this hardware because it's doing this much better than the other one, but we can talk about the games and just be objective and enjoy the games as opposed to hating on the game because it's made by a Sony studio or it's made by an Xbox studio. Like that's the argument I'm really over and tired of having.
Yeah. I want to argue about the games and talk about quality, talk about performance, talk about the, you know, like the strength of the game, the weaknesses of the games, and less about, you know what I mean, in the long term, right? Like what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. A lot of people are worried about the identity of the platform. If you can get everybody's games on another platform, what's the point of buying a console, or what's the point of having a PlayStation of its identity, like if the big mascots like Nathan Drake or Ratchet and Clank or Ellie ever went to the Xbox, what would be the point? But Matt Piscatella is explaining that's not really how it works anymore. Those are the old 2010s mentality. Those are my words, where you already own the console. There was people this week, they're saying, one of our, we talk about these other content creators behind the scenes, right? We get a little messy quietly about some of the things they're saying, but one of them was like, well, maybe I'll go look at Nintendo. Maybe I'll, if the Nintendo could do a little bit more, maybe I'll go there. Yeah. This guy totally admitted that the only thing that matters to him is that he has bragging rights that if you don't buy the same team as me, you're not going to get the same games that I get to play. And that matters more to him than being a PlayStation fan with some of the best games available, the best priced and a great console that runs really well with no frills. Like all of a sudden that is totally oblivious to some of these people that switch in the community. I love some of these people. I'm good friends with them, but they switch when Xbox gives up their exclusives to another platform. Because Holly was just saying, like, you and Dante were just saying it comes down to like what the hardware can do differently. Well, the consoles don't do a lot differently. I mean, I could list them out and bore you, but really it should be about, we already bought the console. I own so many games on Xbox. I will move forward with Xbox. I've bought a bunch of games on PlayStation. I'll probably buy another PlayStation. It really comes down to where most of your games are, but most importantly, and you two know this as well as I do, where your friends are when it's time to play at the end of the night. That's where your allegiance should lie.
Yeah. That was I think Hollywood, did you make that? You made that point, I think, on last Friday, right? We were having this conversation as well. And I think that's spot on. Like I say, like, if we're at a point where, because like that's the concern for people who are really diehard in terms of being console, like specific to a console, like fans of that particular platform, is like, well, what's the incentive for me to go ahead and still play on this console if you're putting your games everywhere? And it's like, to me, like the ecosystem still matters, right? Like I care where my friends list is. I care basically how that particular UI works. I care about like, some of the little things that tie into certain ecosystems. So to me, like that is my incentive. But I was just thinking from the company standpoint, what can they do if they are putting their games everywhere? What can they do to entice players? And I think that's where you have to then make your hardware have some type of differentiator. You have to do something that says, okay, this is why you want to purchase this Xbox or this PlayStation over the other, because ours does this. And maybe they, like for the longest, it's been kind of like a parody thing, but maybe you do something where you basically kind of outshine the other one in some particular way. And I think that's an interesting place to be at. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I think that would be more interesting versus like, I only play this game because it's made by my favorite brand, right? Like that's the part that's a little bit weird to me. There was a person in our chat last Friday who was just like finding every particular way to kind of hate on, certain games that are made by Xbox. And it's like, dude, like if you're a gamer, you wouldn't really feel this way, right? If you're already a gamer, you're literally just basically saying it's because these are games that were released by Xbox. If they had released on both platforms, I doubt you would care. You'd be like, oh yeah, you play the game on its own merit. And that it's like, I feel like people aren't doing with multiplats. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to read a couple of chats here that are coming in. Yodana Kizada, who's an amazing friend and an amazing channel moderator, says, if you could get just the first Ghost of Tsushima on Xbox just to sell Ghost of Yotei on PlayStation, would you? And I think he's asking if PlayStation could boast or boost the hype for the upcoming Ghost of Yotei by putting Ghost of Tsushima 2020 on Xbox. And absolutely. Yodani Kizana with another chat. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, gonna need Holly to use the words, anyways, carry on more carefully, not say anything negative about PlayStation, to be more of a mag fill-in. All right, Holly, you have to be the mag of the show.
Hey, maggots, how you doing tonight?
I see what you said there. I see it. When I do like a foghorn leghorn mag. I'll tell you, boy. I'll tell you. Shout out to Mag. I hope everything's good. Stress is stress. Happy Bomb, another great channel member, a true life friend, says, do you like the Spider-Man game, Colt? My favorite Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man No Way Home. I love the Spider-Man game. I didn't love Spider-Man 2 on PS5. Spider-Man 1 is nearly perfect. I love that game. Miles Morales is pretty good. My favorite Spider-Man movie would probably be Into the Spider-Verse. And
That's really good.
Oh, gosh, I love Andrew Garfield so much, but I think the Tobey Maguire original is just too good to ever forget. What about you, Dante? Where are you at on Spider-Man game and movie? And then we'll ask Holly.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I'm with you with the original one, and Miles Morales. I really like that one. I really love Into the Spider-Verse. I didn't like what was the one with when they had like dark emo Toby. I didn't like that one.
3.
Was that 3 or 3? Okay, yeah, I didn't like that one. That one put a stain on the original trilogy for me. But like the first 2 movies were great because it was kind of like, oh man, look at like our dreams are coming to life where they're making a big screen, right? So that that was cool to see. I did like Andrew Garfield, and I like Tom Holland's. What I will say is that like for the movies, they've done a pretty good job of all the actors for the most part that they chose to play it. Again, outside of 3 with emo Toby, but yeah, outside of that, I can't really pick a favorite amongst all of them. Maybe the movies I've probably enjoyed the most as of maybe it's recency bias, but the ones from Tom Holland I probably have enjoyed the most. But that's just basically as movies get better and graphics get better and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. So.
What about you, Holly? Where are you at with Spider-Man?
I feel like for your audience to still like me, that my lawyer tells me I need to plead the 5th on all. This is a big argument on the Renegade realm. I cannot stand Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I can't stand it. I don't like any of the movies. They're the worst. And I didn't watch any of the Andrew Garfield because Tobey Maguire turned me off so badly.
Wait. So you're saying he ruined the franchise for you?
Yes.
Or did you come back around for Tom Holland?
The franchise kind of ruined the franchise because it was so cheesy. It's so over the top. Like everybody overacts everything, and even from the first one, right? Like with Willem Dafoe, who I love Willem Dafoe. Yeah, go ahead. Come on. I do. I've seen one of the Tom Holland ones, and I do like Tom Holland. I think he does a good job. But he also looks younger, right? Like when Tobey Maguire did it, he still looked 34 when he was supposed to be 17. So
Shots fired.
I gotta go. I forgot. And Happy Bomb said that No Way Home was her favorite. That's the one where Toby and Tom and Andrew were all in the same scene. That was fantastic. You should watch the Andrew Garfield ones. At least watch the first one. Second one's all right. But they're still good. Anyway.
I don't love Spider-Man as a character. Anyway, that's probably the first problem.
I don't like Superman as a character. How about that? Who's going to come get me with a
I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I don't. Hey, good luck, Colt. Good luck. You walked into it right there.
I really don't. I can't.
I am dissolving this friendship as of today.
Yeah.
And you don't like Spider-Man. And how do we kick these guys off?
Superman colors on everything.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Dang, she got you on that one. Yeah, explain yourself, Colt. You got 5 minutes to respond.
Well, I could do the Superman. Here's the problem. I'll do the Superman theme song, but I'll probably sing the Indiana Jones theme song because they sound the same to me. Because he goes, dun, 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 dun. That's right. That's the same one, right? Same composer. All right.
John Williams?
John Williams. Yeah.
John Williams, yes, yeah. And I know what the theme song is. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat, thank you so much for the Australian $10 super chat. Thank you for being here so early in the morning in the future. We appreciate you. Grandpa's Barbecue says, I think hardware is too similar now. I agree. He says PS5 and Xbox Series X, probably more so next gen. He's saying it's probably more similar. I disagree. As long as they're similarly priced, who cares? Whereas Sony Xbox games played, it's just more sales for both. I agree. Exclusivity will be dissolving. And while Dante and Holly were talking about the difference in the console, there are some clear differences where PlayStation allows you to have VR, Xbox doesn't. PlayStation has haptics on the controller, which is every time you play something, you're getting a slightly different experience. So those things make a big deal. And, Xbox has Game Pass. Xbox has the better controller. Fight me on that one. And the better ecosystem. So,
I'll die on that hill.
Yeah. So there are differences. And a lot of what I've been hearing lately is 30 to 36 million console owners on Xbox is nothing to scoff at. And it's what Destin Legary said. And I'm hearing it more and more where people guys say, oh, Xbox is dead. No, you don't need an Xbox. So I go, PlayStation sure stepped up to the plate and said, we need some buyers on Helldivers 2, our most successful game of last year. So, yeah, big changes. Udani Kuzada says, Holly, you going to cry?
Isn't that what Willem Dafoe says in it?
No, it's what Toby says. Is it what Toby says to, well, Dante, you remember? He says it in the Spider-Man movie. You going to cry?
I guess the wrong person. I don't remember.
Oh,
Is that
I don't remember.
It's a GIF.
I'm a
Everyone
hard
uses
time.
the GIF like all the time.
Only one I remember is how'd that get in there? That's the one I remember. But anyway. Hey now.
I've never laughed so hard when somebody puts that meme together. How'd that get in there?
Excuse me. Apologies, folks. This is a family-friendly show. What I had something to say. I had thouts and words, and I'll get back to you. Bear with me for a moment here.
Do it
Got
again,
cold. You're
'cause
turning red, bro.
You did it perfect.
You're turning super red.
Yeah.
How'd that get in there? I can't even do it.
How'd that
He's
get in there?
so awkward.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, we said at launch of Helldivers that we thought that would have been the perfect game. That if they were ever going to put something that would be cross-platform, we're like, hey, that would be one that would travel well, right? We thought that would be one that
Until Colt and I played it.
Anyway, we thought that one amongst most people outside of you, Holly, would actually think that would have been a good game for cross-pollination, shall we say? So like again, I feel that like even if they're so let's say this idea is true where they're like, oh, it's going to be mainly live service games and some smaller games, etc. I think all stuff changes once you start to see numbers, right? So if numbers show you that, hey, you can do this over on the other platform, then everything is up for everything is up for potential debate, right? In terms of like, yeah, well, maybe we can go ahead and put this game over here, especially if it's a game that's already been out for several years, right? Like it doesn't hurt them at this point. Like at what point does it matter so much where if you got Spider-Man and an older God of War game on PC to then care of if you put it on Xbox? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can end up selling 1 million copies of it, that's 1 million additional copies that you didn't have before that you wouldn't have sold. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I think if they see numbers for even this small sample, let's say if that's true, if the numbers bear fruit, they will turn around and put more games out on Xbox as well. That's just what a company would.
Go ahead, Ollie.
As to say, I personally think that don't get mad at me again, chat. Okay, I just came off of the last one. But I personally don't think that this job listing, you should not expect Sony games to start showing up in the store in the next 2 weeks, right? Like it's not anything that's, very imminent. I honestly think this is more future proofing for the next generation of Xbox consoles. I don't know that I expect many games, if any, to be ported to last gen at the time that this starts rolling out Xbox consoles, right? So like obviously not the Xbox One is not, the One X is not. I would even hazard a guess that if this does start coming out, it would be with the Xbox X2, whatever we're calling it, and that the Series S and the Series X would not be there for a port unless you were playing it through cloud or something like that. I don't know. That's a wild guess from me because I think that it's more about this hypothetical next box being sort of a hybrid box, right? So just making sure that all things are working correctly through this Xbox store or the Xbox PC store or whatever, right? in the future. That's my guess.
Well, PlayStation could definitely be toying with the idea of bringing older legacy mega hits to Xbox and just eking out a bunch of sales on there, knowing it won't affect the sales of PS5 or PS6 if they start this next year, right? Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. But if you're going to take Ghost of Tsushima or even Spider-Man, but let's just go smaller. If you're going to take like the PS5 remastered games like an Uncharted game or even Demon's Souls or something like that, it would release on Xbox Series S and X and the upcoming Xbox console. One of the reasons why PlayStation, I'm going to read the job announcement in a minute so we can make sure that we're all like in agreement of what this really means. But PlayStation knows right now, probably better than any of us. I don't want to get ahead of it. I believe that Xbox
get ahead of it.
I believe that Xbox is telling the truth when they say your next console is going to have Steam and other storefronts on it. So I am almost 100% agreement that I expect to be able to play all of my Steam games and buy any PlayStation game on Steam and play it directly on my next generation console. I think that's a reality. I don't think that's something that they're going to ditch. I think they're going forward with that, and that's going to keep that console more desirable for other people. Because think about people on PC or other consoles. Why do I need to buy an Xbox? It's a dying hardware platform. Oh, it has every PC game plus 6,000 to 8,000 Xbox games. Well, that's more than a PC has. So I said all that to say PlayStation knows this is happening. And so they're probably talking with Xbox right now and saying, hey, what if you guys take an 18% cut instead of the typical 30% cut? And we'll start porting some of our legacy games to the Xbox console. PlayStation's like, we'll get more money. You'll get more games to sell on your console. You'll make more money, and we get a bigger cut because they're our games. And we can require some of them to sign into a PSN account on your Xbox console. And you know what Xbox and Microsoft say? Okay. All right. They won't be like, no one's going to sign into a PlayStation Network on our device, because I don't think that's how Microsoft works.
Well,
they already stripped the Xbox Game Studios logo off of the front of everything.
Yep.
You have to sign into Xbox account if you're playing like Sea of Thieves on PlayStation?
I think you do. And I played Stellar Blade on PC, and it asked me if I wanted to sign into PSN. And I was like, well, okay, sure. And I think I got some trophies as well as Steam achievements. So Max GB117, Max, shout out the chat. I've met him in person. He's pretty cool. He says, you do sign in. Yeah. And shout out to Walkerman, who's also in the chat, a mutual friend of all of ours. We appreciate you for being here. I'm trying to think.
So that to me, that's both companies are kind of doing the same thing, right? Where they're like, what are ways for us to get these different gamers into our ecosystem, whichever way it's possible, right? So if the gateway is you got to sign into Xbox to play Sea of Thieves, and off the gateways you got to sign in to PlayStation to access some of their games, then so be it, right? Now you're now exposing these players who probably weren't playing on these different consoles to your stuff and your ecosystem, and that potentially can lead to more sales with inside your ecosystem. So like it all to me just makes sense from a business perspective, right? Especially again, if your job is to sell software, which is that's the bulk of where the money is made in gaming, right? It's basically selling the game. So
Yo, Donnie, knock it off. Why would you cry while you're playing Stellar Blade? He said you would need tissues. I don't remember.
That's not. No. That's not. No.
Yeah. Tissues.
A word not means what you think it means.
I'm gonna leave that one there. I'm gonna fight against my nature.
And we're gonna move on to the next.
I'm gonna move. Yep. You almost got me. Got me.
Let's have a little fun with this one. On the 22nd of July, I tweeted out, exclusives are dissolving and gamers and franchises will all benefit from it. And this doesn't happen often, but Digital Foundry's Oliver McKenzie replied to me. Huge fan of Digital Foundry, and Oliver's great. Oliver said, I don't think that's true. Nintendo is still 100% committed to exclusives, and Sony is still primarily focused on PlayStation. Microsoft has given up on exclusives because they have no choice, not because that is some unwritten law of the industry. So he said that 2 days before the job announcement from PlayStation, which I'm going to read. And I was a little bit, not embarrassed, but I felt bad because I didn't want to be called out by a peer, or not a peer, but a journalist that I highly respect. But I told him immediately, it's still true, because what I had heard when I made the post before this job announcement is that PlayStation is definitely going to be putting more games on Xbox console. So what ended up happening was Red Dragon, a guy that, we all love, said that Colt got called out by Digital Foundry, but then the next day, here's the job announcement. According to job listing, Sony plans to expand PlayStation Studios titles across Steam, Epic, Xbox, Nintendo, and mobile. Reporting to Vice President, Commercial Management, is Senior Director of Multi-Platform and Account Management. This is a $250,000 to $300,000 a year position, which is outlined to say, let me read the goods of it.
Pick me.
I want to make a lot of money, sir.
Pick me.
How'd that get in there? Oversee the out-of-year mid-range commercial strategy for PlayStation Studio titles across all non-PlayStation platforms, driving long-term revenue growth and audience reach. Holly, what are non-PlayStation platforms?
Crazy.
What is a non-PlayStation platform?
It's everything that's not a PlayStation. It's
like,
your,
for example,
it's iPhone. It's your Apple tablet. It is your.
Could it be my Xbox?
Your Ally, perhaps, right? It is Steam. It is Nintendo.
You're missing one.
I shouldn't be surprised that Nintendo is there. It's the box of X's.
The box with X's? Okay.
The X's of the boxes.
Are you saving the best for last? Is that what's happening there, Holly?
It's the boxes of the X's. It's the Xbox.
Hey, I got a box of X's.
Dante, it says
What?
all
What?
not
What?
It says all non-PlayStation platforms. So a lot of PlayStation pundits on social media were saying it's just 4 games, it's just live service games, it's going to be really old small games, it's the same thing, it's just MLB. Derek Strickland, who writes for Tweaktown, I really like this guy. He was like, maybe they should be, somebody to like run the MLB stuff. I'm like, that's already happening. Like, this is a brand. You don't pay someone $300,000 a year to go, are we putting MLB on there again? All right. You try the lasagna?
Something we've already done.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could read more about the job announcement, but I think it's pretty apparent.
But do you think though that the cadence of releases from new games is going to be any different than what we're already seeing on PC? Do you think it'll get shorter
like
time windows?
6 months versus 6 months a year later versus in terms of shortening that down?
Now that this pool of opportunity is expanding, right, and we've got all these other places, do you think they're still going to keep that 12 to 18 month window for a PC launch, or you think they'll move them up a little bit faster?
Well, they already did, because Spider-Man 2 was a 14-month release, and part of that is with Nixus, who is doing the bulk of the ports over to PC. So maybe a year to 18 months is about all they can muster. But I don't understand why these studios aren't doing their own PC ports. Everybody else does. I always thought that was interesting, Dante, because name every studio on the planet that's not a PlayStation studio. They all build a game for console, whether it be just PlayStation and PC or across Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. They all do the multi-platform approach. So if you're making a game, you're making a game for PC almost every single time. But you're telling me that Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica, we can't make them on PC. We don't have the bandwidth to do that. Well, everybody else is. Is that the reason why Xbox games take so long? No, I don't know.
No.
What do you think? You'd be a better answer for Holly than me. What is the timeline for PC release from PlayStation going to turn into?
Well, I think it's probably specific to certain games, and the only reason why I say this is because, like, to me, certain games make better sense to release earlier compared to later, right? I think there's a point in time, especially for something that's kind of like a live service game, where you want to like you want to capture the largest audience you possibly can, and especially with games where people can easily get distracted to go play something else. You want to be able to try to get them in early, right? So releasing something like that, to me, again, timing on Helldivers coming over, because I felt like that would have been one that should have been released closer to its launch, so that way it could have continued to like maintain a large install base, because you want to capture that particular audience. They like maybe single player titles are a little bit more different, where if they're still trying to uphold that, like, you know, we want to let you know that exclusives still matter to us. So if you're a PlayStation player on the console, there's certain games that you're going to have access to at least, you know, a year, 18 months first before we will put them over to the other platforms. If they're going to still do that, maybe that still happens for single player games. Other games, to me, I think it kind of hurts your game, especially when something is hot, to like release it years later. It's kind of like, well, you know, we're on to the next thing now, right? Something else came out that has our attention, and it's hard to pull people off from playing like their forever games, right? So the people who are constantly playing GTA, the people who are constantly playing COD, etc., it's hard to pull them away. So if you're releasing a game that like gets a lot of fanfare at its release, and then you're saying, well, yeah, but we'll put it on the Xbox 24 months later, it's kind of like, well, don't be mad if it doesn't sell, right? That's how I kind of felt a little bit about Final Fantasy 16. It's like no one cared as much, right? I purchased it and I enjoyed it, but I could definitely see that there was probably a group of people who were like, well, when it released, it wasn't regarded as one of the better Final Fantasy games, even though I had a lot of fun with it. But people had their issues with it, right? So it already had that from the get-go. Yes, it sold 3 million copies on PlayStation, but still, it already had that. And then you're releasing it several years later on Xbox, and you're expecting 2 million people to purchase it. It's like that you kind of miss that. You know, that launching point is your best opportunity to get a lot of people to come play your game. And so I feel like if they want to make money, that get it out earlier versus later for certain games versus you know, something that you can hold on to is obviously like you can hold a God of War and release that one 18 months down the line. So
it's definitely a case by case basis, and we all kind of mock the case by case basis statement. But you explained Final Fantasy 16 didn't do well, kind of had some baggage, but Forza Horizon 5 and Sea of Thieves sold really well. Sea of Thieves sold really well because everybody could jump online on the PlayStation platform and join in on the fun. But Forza Horizon 5, you know, you could play a ton of that in single player and it sold like crazy. The last thing you said about like God of War or other titles, some games, it doesn't matter when you release them. They'll do really well. So if you took, like we said, a Nathan Drake collection or God of War 2018, if you release that on Xbox, it would sell incredibly well. I think that Christopher Dring's comment about Game Pass being a deterrent for users, where it's like maybe 20 million people on Game Pass on Xbox console, I don't really think that's there's a hive mind reaction where you're like, oh, Spider-Man's amazing, I have to have it, but not unless it's on Game Pass. I think that's kind of a joke. Silly. It's really silly.
Yeah, that's silly
to believe that.
Like, people who really want to play a game like Spider-Man or even, you know, God of War, etc., they're not going to be like, oh, it didn't. If it came to Xbox, but it didn't land in Game Pass, I'm not interested, right? Like, I just don't believe that that's a reality. I think people who are like, hey, I really wanted to play that game, but maybe I didn't have the money to purchase 2 consoles, and most of my game library is on this particular console, right? And then they say, okay, boom, Spider-Man, you know, Miles Morales is hitting, or you know, the last God of War. I think the people who really want to play it are going to play it if they didn't already have the PlayStation or played it on PC. So I don't think being the subscriber of Game Pass is going to deter that particular person. That to me doesn't quite make sense, especially for the big hitting games that like those big IPs that Sony's known for. So yeah, that doesn't pass the smell test in my opinion.
I know it's kind of an impossible thing to answer properly because it's just all subjective. Grandman, thanks for the $2 super chat. Says your Xbox is a PlayStation. Grandman, I'd say, and vice versa, and love it and live it. I think it's actually a good thing, and the ridiculous fighting needs to end. Woggerman with the $10 super chat says the argument that it hurts the brand is wrong. No one is switching platforms. Go for more revenue. No one is going to ditch their PS5 because Ratchet or Uncharted from 5 to 10 years ago is landing on an Xbox. I 100% agree. Game Seeker,
spot on right there.
thank you for 5 channel memberships that you've gifted. Appreciate you. Jez Corden of Windows Central and Xbox 2 fame is in the chat and says, I don't know what this is, but he says, Nia Aichi Nissan, Nia Aichi tu. Uwu. Uwu. And he also gives 10 channel memberships. We appreciate you, Jez. I always see Jez able to go on other shows, but right now he's laying in bed because it's super late in the UK. And I always want to have Jez on, but it's so late and he's in Germany and he's amazing and awesome. Jez, if you're still in chat, give us your quick response about when people say Xbox guys don't buy games or Game Pass has kept them from wanting to purchase games outright. I would love to hear your short, brief opinion on that, or you just write cope or whatever. That'd be great. We appreciate you guys in the chat as well. Holly, I haven't heard from you in a minute because Dante and I have been chopping it up for a second here, but what would be the next game you'd like to see PlayStation keep alive by bringing an Xbox?
It's not fair for me to say. I would love to see Astrobot come over because Astrobot is a jewel and a treasure, and my game of the year last year. I absolutely loved it. Problem with that is that you really do actually need a DualSense to get the full experience of that game. I think
And
that
it's a big
really
PlayStation commercial.
That's what I was going to ask is will not having the controller be a deterrent for the experience that a PlayStation player can have?
you should have the PlayStation controller. You should. But besides that, I love Uncharted. I really wish that they would just go ahead and port that over. It's been a while since we've had. I mean, I guess indie sort of is in that vein, but I would love to see the whole franchise come back because I feel like it's time. But obviously, The Last of Us would just sell like gangbusters again and again and again if they brought that over to Xbox.
They're like the remaster for Xbox.
Yeah.
Here is The Last of Us 1 and 2.
It's the Remax.
Fully maxed out. It's like another one. How'd that get in there, Xbox? Take it or leave it.
Oh my gosh. Well, if The Last of Us 2 landed on Xbox, it would get the good ending. Yeah, they would have to rewrite it. Yeah,
there's no such thing. Yeah, the whole game would have to be
the good
redone.
ending would be that Ellie just doesn't leave. How about that? That would be good. Yeah, she stays home. Yeah. If you haven't played it by now, just, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't know. The Astrobot thing is funny. People are kind of laughing in the chat because Astrobot pays homage to everything PlayStation. Does it so well.
It does.
There's rumors that Flight Sim 2024 is coming to Xbox. It'll be the next major announcement for a port. There was supposed to be 2 games that would be announced at the end of 2025 to come to PlayStation. So I thought maybe one would be Starfield and the other would be Flight Simulator 2024. Unfortunately, I know nobody really plays the Flight Simulator game except for me. The first one was brilliant. The second one, I played it for 2 hours and heard nothing but complaints from everybody else. But yeah. BT Maverick said, the good ending for Ellie is she holds her hands in the water just a little bit longer.
Don't tell me, man. I have not played it.
You're not missing anything. You're not missing anything.
So I don't know.
You're missing
what's going on.
excellent combat and a beautiful, gorgeous game. With some
I own the game. I played up until the event, and then I couldn't get over that. And then I said, "Oh, I'll come back," and I just never went back. So yeah, but don't tell me.
I won't tell you. But yeah, that was good. The funny thing about that game was I was so bothered by the ending that when I was done, I think once the credits started or something, I just shut off my PlayStation and moved on to something else. And somebody called me out on Twitter and said, "You never even finished The Last of Us Part 2." And I'm like, "Bull crap, I didn't." And it was during the PS5 era, so I had to go plug in my PS4 because that's where the save was. I loaded up the game. I had to go through all of the credits and then hold square or something, and the last trophy popped. I'm like, I went through all that, and someone thought my street cred wasn't good enough. So anyway, yeah.
Hey, is Sackboy a PlayStation exclusive?
Yeah.
Sackboy
That would be
is
perfect.
amazing. But it has some DualSense stuff like the
I feel like
motion
that's less
access stuff.
dependent though. That would be good on Switch. You could port that to Switch pretty easily with the gyro stuff.
Yeah. Things may
Hey,
change.
do you think?
Go
you think
ahead,
the new
Don.
Xbox because isn't the new Xbox controller supposed to have some
Yeah, that's
some
what
of
I was
that?
gonna say.
And they
Right. So you
didn't they
think?
cancel that?
Well, isn't
No.
it supposed to be part of the next
Oh,
whatever the next console
Right.
is? Like we
Okay.
we were hoping or thinking that like, oh, well, we're going to see it before the next
Mhm.
hardware, but I think they're just saying no, we're going to save it for the next hardware.
I hope so because I really do like the haptics. I don't want a mic in my controller.
No.
Don't need that. Please don't. Please.
I don't need a
put that in.
speaker either.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes,
need-
no speaker.
No speaker, no mic,
Plus, I
none
think
of
those are part of the reason that the battery just all
Mhm.
the time too, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
otherwise, I love the haptics.
Yeah, I played a lot of Death Stranding 2 this past few weeks, and I would play like 2-hour sessions and then play the next night, and then it was plug-in time. That's annoying, but it's such a great controller. And Xbox's planned next generation controller is supposed to have haptics in it and a lift to wake, but I don't know if it'd have a gyro feature. But my take is, if you're building this controller, get it out as soon as possible, because there's no reason to have a next gen only controller when Xbox is letting people play across all these devices. And the best part is the rumble feature, the haptics feature
Mhm.
is cross compatible. They said that if the next generation Xbox controller has the haptics, that the developers don't have to do anything to upgrade it or update it on older games. So you could like take this new controller, load up Dying Light 2 from 2020 or 2021, and it would have it would just adjust for the haptics as is in the game, because Xbox uses heavy and light rumble. It would just convert it across the controller. So it could be really cool. And I'm like, Xbox, if you have this thing ready, get it out to as many people as possible, because the Xbox controller, I'm looking at mine over and over. I love this one. Dreamcast guy, it's an absolute bloodbath. That people would buy these things like crazy. If you had a new next generation console controller next year, people would buy them like crazy. So do not wait. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the triggers in the DualSense too. Like when you're like doing a bow and arrow, like how it feels, it really has that like right pressure. They did a good job with it.
Except you can get pinched with the PlayStation controller because it's got a paddle flap. So it can pinch your hand right here.
Yes.
Oh,
And I have
that's
fat
not good.
hands. How'd that get in there?
That's what she said.
I'm the problem. I recognize this now, guys. I'm the
I
problem.
do think it
I
is.
apologize.
It is you. It is you being
I
the problem.
apologize.
Dante, are you going to be
Yeah.
playing? Are you going to be playing Grounded 2 tomorrow? It launches for everybody. Tomorrow.
You know it.
Midnight or
You know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I finally finished my replay of Andromeda, and so like now I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not tied into something that's a 40+ hour long game. So yeah, this is perfect timing for us to go back into the backyard or wherever this one is located
park.
now.
The park.
The
yeah.
park. Okay, let's go.
You recently replayed Andromeda, and I played it the year that Starfield was coming out. Did you love it again? Like, is it a trash
Yeah.
game?
No, man. Listen, man. I even when I played it the first time, I enjoyed it, right? But I enjoyed it, but obviously it had issues at launch that it had some patches that needed to be done, right? So I don't forget that. But playing it again, like this many years later, I was kind of like, okay, I wonder how it holds up. And also, I just enjoyed it that much more this time. Like it all kind of just clicked more for some reason. And also, like playing it, having such a long gap, a lot of the things that I was experiencing felt like kind of new, right? Because I had completely like forgot as to like, okay, what is actually happening? What's the main antagonist is? What's his driving force, etc. So like all that stuff was kind of like a rediscovery, but it actually holds up really well, man. It still looks really, really good. The mechanics play well. I'm like, this is like, what is it? An 8 year? Is it 8? how many years is that?
It's been 8
is it
years.
longer?
Yeah, 2017.
Okay, so it's like it's almost a decade long, and the thing still looks really, really good. Like it looks better than some games I've seen released in the last 2 to 3 years, which is pretty interesting. So like, hats off to BioWare for that, and it feels like a Mass Effect game. So yeah, I don't pick it over the original trilogy, but it's still a really, really good game, and I had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, you had been chatting with me while I was sitting there, no life yet. But yeah, like I was kind of consumed with it for a little bit. So
yeah,
I had a really good time.
It's actually pretty good. And yeah, I'm the same with you. The second time was way better. Holly, what have you been playing? And yeah, what have you been doing? Like, what's next?
Man, well, I gotta finish Eric's Home. I've been actually just
I gotta look up
like the
this
time
game
I've had
and see what it looks like.
It's so good. It's only 40
she's really
bucks,
selling it.
too.
She's selling it. Huh?
It's so good. It's only
I thought she kept saying Eric's Hole, and I was like, what? Sorry. All right. I'm
Not
looking
today.
There it is.
I've been playing. I've just been playing some multiplayer when I've had the chance. I jumped into GTFO for the first time ever a couple weeks ago. That game is hard, but it's fun. And Sons of the Forest, I've been playing that with DeMarco and somebody else, which is just a really weird game, but it's fun. And Ready or Not, I
haven't played
love
it yet.
Ready or Not. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I actually think both of you would really like it.
I'm playing Radio Night.
Oh my gosh! I guess I need to get it.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm playing Ready or Not. It reminds me of like old school Siege to a degree, right? But it's less room for
more
error.
forgiving.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
But yeah. We me and my buddy Eric and my buddy Rob, we've been playing it over the last few nights and stuff. So yeah, I've been having a good time with that one as well.
It's really good. It's like SWAT simulator.
Yeah, it's like SWAT simulator. So it's not a run and gun, right? You know, like you can't even run, to be quite honest, right?
You move
like,
so slow.
There's a fast walk where you got to put the gun down.
If you
but
get
it's like,
shot at, you're like, fast.
I'm on my way away from you. Give me a moment. And like, what kind of bothers me about it, that's the one kind of gripe I have about it, because it's like, there are certain missions when you go in where like someone will come running at you with a hatchet or something like that, right? So I'm like, why do they get to run and I can't run away? You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Like, that's a weird kind of quirk I have in terms of the game. But outside of that, like I think the you nailed it. SWAT simulator. Like the aesthetic is cool. The vibe and stuff as you're uncovering stuff with inside of some of the houses that you have to go raid or some of the buildings, and you kind of see like what is the perpetrators been up to. Like, yeah, it's a really good game. So I've been having fun with it.
It is. It's really good.
I'm cranking along with Star Wars Outlaws, a game that Mag and Holly and Dante both have been telling me I need to play, and I've been enjoying it, but I've been like, it's been a slow burn. I'm like going through a list of 27 things, going and checking out stuff, and I've really like stretched it out. I'm like 30 hours in, and I'm barely into the story. But man, you hate to say something like some of the land to space and the space combat and some of the stuff you can do in space does it better than Starfield in a lot of ways. It's just kind of cool to play, to really enjoy a game that people kind of universally hate on. And I see that a lot. Like Star Wars Outlaws is a 75. It's in the average realm. It's around the same score as Dead Island 2, which I absolutely loved. So maybe sometimes I like some mediocre games, but like I said last week, I'm happy to be playing a game that I'm happy to be playing, and I don't care what it is. You can't ask for more than that.
I'm glad you end up giving it another shot, man. Because like when I was playing it and I kept seeing like the online chatter, I'm like, damn, man, it's different strokes for different folks, but I felt like, we're experiencing two different games for some of the stuff that I was seeing online. Yeah. So like I felt like I was having a cool Star Wars adventure. It made me feel like I was actually in an adventure in the Star Wars universe, and that's exactly what I wanted out of the game. Like would I change a few things within the game? Yeah, like one of the main things I would change is like the animation of her takedowns. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, yeah, give me something different, right? Don't make me believe that she's going to sneak up on everybody and just take the gun and then hit them and knock them out, right? Like you got stun guns and stuff like that. Like let her stun people, so some of that makes sense. But outside of that, like the feel, the story itself, kind of playing against the different factions and stuff. I really enjoyed kind of like that mid-max game in between the game of trying to keep the different factions like happy and whatnot, even if you had to betray one or the other. So yeah, I'm glad you gave it another shot.
Early on, I was in so bad with these factions. It's got a cool, for those of you who haven't played, it's got a cool system where you can choose to favor certain factions or, to build them up, but it might make these other ones mad. And early on, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get in good with any of them. And you kind of get this real sense of progression. So recently, just the other day, they announced that Star Wars Outlaws 2 was in early development, and they canned it. And I know the way that Ubisoft reacted. That game did not sell even a fraction of what they hoped it would sell, and it was nowhere near made enough money, and it sucks. But you got to make better games if you want them to fly off the shelves. And Brothers Grimm says, I'm still playing Red Dead 2, the best game ever made. I recently replayed it last year. I think it is one of the best games ever made. And it was funny that Star Wars Outlaws dev said, this is like our Red Dead Redemption 2 in the Star Wars universe. I was like, you ain't no Arthur Morgan, and you're certainly not. Still a really good game.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not incredibly amazing, but man, when I'm happy I'm playing something, I'm happy. We got.
Do you think, Colt, that's a bigger kind of like take on how like social media in the gaming industry is lately? Because like some parts of like releasing a game too is like not only to release it, but to get lucky that the social media kind of zeitgeist is in your favor. Because if you get the early where people just like they want to hate on it for whatever particular reason, it just basically kind of spreads like wildfire amongst that. And I think it does a little bit of damage to like the casual who maybe isn't completely like ingrained in the social media stuff, but listens to a buddy or something like that. So it's like it's unfortunate that you have to be like, all right, we gotta get this game that we put our blood, sweat, and tears into that we were working on for 5 years, or whatever the case is. And then you also got to make sure that the rollout is good enough that we get some good buzz and the good gaming favor, shall we say? Because if we get a group of people saying like, "Oh, this game is trash because of X," before it even releases, it kind of can hurt your game a little bit, man. That sucks that we're at that point.
Yeah, I want to ask Holly that. Holly, do you think that the pitchfork social media people can destroy a decent game before it even has a chance to get purchased?
I think it depends on what the issue is around the game. If it's more like perceived stuff, sort of like the Avowed controversy was, then I think that can kind of spread, because I think those things kind of get picked up by bigger mainstream media. But other things like maybe, some performance hiccups or, other things that are not related to the hot button topics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although that one,
I kind of felt like I felt like Doom got a little bit of that though. Like in terms of like some people were trying to hate on Doom, the last one, before it even released, mainly because it, like, and it's like, well, dude, it's releasing on both
didn't have glory
platforms. Like, what are we doing?
People heard no glory kills, and that concerned people. But it's just it's funny because we're in this time where there are a lot of games. Because I'm 100% with you. Like you gave two perfect examples back to back: Andromeda and Outlaws. Mm-hmm. Both are not like fantastic games. They are very good because they are just fun. And there's a lot of games that fall into the, yes, I know this isn't a masterpiece, but I had a heck of a time playing it and I loved every minute of it. And that is absolutely okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You get your monies out of it, you enjoy it. And you could probably say that a lot more than you do with masterpieces, because it doesn't hit your personality, it doesn't hit your flair, your play style, whatever it is. So that's another reason to sort of take these open and Metacritic scores with a grain of salt, because it doesn't really matter. It needs to hit with you, right? Yep. We're not hit with you. And you know what you like, what you don't, and judge it for that.
And that's good for us. And we started off the show talking about Happy Gilmore 2. I'm wearing my Happy Gilmore shirt my wife bought me. And it's not a highly rated movie, but Meg and I like really enjoyed it and we're glad we watched it. But because I run a YouTube channel and I read so many comments and I'm all over social media more than I should be. I really feel personally that there is a hive mind of voices that when they want something to die, I feel like they kind of get their way. And Holly, you touched on that really well when you said some games or movies are just okay or whatever. And then they just don't, they completely die and they don't make their money back because games are so expensive to make. What was the example I was thinking of? Like Happy Gilmore 2, like, is it going to like blow up amazingly huge because everyone's like, oh, I heard it's not good. When I was saying I'm on social media and comment sections, I always see people who seem to be not engaged in the overall discussion. They're not sitting there reading all the negativity. I feel like I see people that just walk up and go, what's Doom the Dark Ages? Oh, I heard it's trash. Or what's Avowed? Oh yeah, the only thing I heard about Avowed was that it's woke, it's trash, and I'm not going to play it. And I feel like they do get their way in the world where that information travels far faster when a game comes into negativity. Just like Expedition 33. No one knew really what it was. It's turn-based. I don't know what the story is, but the world was saying it's incredible, it's amazing, it's going to be huge, and it was. So it can work both ways. I don't know. That frustrates me as a fan who likes to sit down and be entertained of something I watch or play, and I feel like that's I don't know.
I just feel for like the. Go ahead.
Sorry, if you didn't have the Red Dead 2s, the Expedition 33s, all of that stuff, right? You need a broad range of games and to be able to enjoy all types to know where the standouts are, right? Like you need to have a good balance in your repertoire to this is fun and campy, it's a little cheesy, right? But it plays well and I have a good time and who really cares because it's fun for me, right? And then you can recognize all of the things that just hit perfectly in the games that are just lightning in a bottle, right?
Like what was that game that Dante and I played with you? The Remedy game where we were Dante like, oh my gosh, stop it.
Yeah, Firebreak.
Was it Firebreak? Yeah.
By the end of the night, like I was sweaty, I was frustrated, my fingers hurt. And all he's like, I'm having a great time. Dante's like, make it stop.
It was having fun. But we were running around like at that last one, we were running off like chickens with our heads cut off, like just trying to get like those stupid those damn trash cans into the furnace, man. I was like, oh my god!
And by then you could tell,
I'm like, I'm burning.
You could tell that I was done because I'm like, and I'm on fire again. Okay.
Yeah.
Nope. I'm on fire again.
Yep.
And I'm like, you could tell the
Why
frustration.
isn't the shower working?
That was pissing me off, man. I was like, what? I'm out of weapon. I'm out of ammo. The shower's broke. Well, someone turn the shower back on. Hollywood have you got me into?
And those complaints, like they'll spread like wildfire and people like avoid fire break and then the game dies and there's like potential there. But this has been an amazing show. I can't go on any longer because we would just continue this in a party chat, but we appreciate everybody. Big shout out to That Blue Number, aka Holly, and Dante, aka Spriggan, for hanging out with us tonight and being a part of the show and saving the day. Mag went out on a family emergency, and when he says what's going on, he's told me what's up, but when he gives me the green light, I'll let you know. But if you can reach out to Mag and tell him that your thoughts or prayers are with him, he'd appreciate that.
For sure.
He's amazing. I think about every week, I think about the gift that I have of somebody like Mag who's willing to sit down for 2 hours and talk with a blabbermouth like me and talk about our favorite thing, which is hanging out in front of other gamers, talking about games. And I'm very appreciative of That Blue Number and Dante, who are fellow creators in the space, awesome gaming friends and real life friends. You can check out Holly, which I'll add both of their links to their socials and their channels after the show is done when I produce it. But Holly is on the Infinite podcast most Fridays. She's also on a podcast with DeMarco on Thursdays
at 6:30 Eastern. Mm-hmm.
And what's the podcast called?
It's called Push Start.
And
it's just me and him. Yep. And then sometimes we're going to just stream games afterwards playing together. So it'd be fun.
Awesome. DeMarco's a really great guy. I'd like to have him on the show one of these days as well. You guys will really like him. He's just a little guy like me, and he's absolutely sweet. I love the guy, and he's really funny. Dante, tell everybody where they can get a hold of you, where they can stalk you, and see pictures of your naked feet.
How'd those get in there? Thank you everybody for having me. You guys are awesome in the chat. So I just want to say shout out to you guys. Yeah, Colt, man, like whenever you need us, man, just send out the bat signal like you did. And, we're happy to come in and chop it up. It's always a good time to hang with family. So, you guys are my family. And so, yeah, everybody else, you guys can catch me. Socials, Dante J. Moody. I'm on Xbox at Spriggan113. And yeah, catch me on Fridays with the lovely That Blue Number on our show. What's the name of our podcast again? What's our name? I can't think right now. What is the name of our show?
Wow.
What is our show?
It's Risky for the Biscuit Show.
Folks, I am getting older, so this is my excuse. I've had a very long day.
Infinite podcast.
Infinite
podcast.
Yeah.
It's the
I'm having a day today. I just found out that my company is going to take, like right now I get to work from home 2 days a week. They're taking that away, and I'm going to only be able to get to work on 1 day out of the week. I'm like, what's the 1 day? Like, what's the 1 day? So I've been fuming ever since then. So
everyone in this chat who's here, meet me at my truck tomorrow. We're going down to his work, and we're going to give them the what for.
Let's storm it.
How is he supposed to play video games when he's at your stinking office?
Thank you, Cole.
Right?
He understands me. Thank you, and I appreciate your support.
The things that are important in our lives. That nothing pisses me off more than saying, "Hey, let's hang out," and somebody goes, "I gotta go to bed." Why? Because I have to go in the office tomorrow.
I know.
What kind of nonsense is that? No,
sleep is for suckers, man. What is that?
Who needs sleep? I had a friend who's like, "We waste so much time sleeping, so he just stay awake." And then he starts seeing things.
Turned out well, I'm sure.
Yeah. He lost his mind. Everybody, thank you so much. Hit the like button on the way out. We got 300 likes, and appreciate about 600 people plus that were hanging out with the XC podcast. Like I said, reach out to Mag. He's amazing. Follow That Blue Number and Dante J. Moody on socials and their YouTube. Holly also runs her own YouTube channel where she streams games and she reports on the news and what's the latest. And watch for my channel tomorrow. I've got a big video that's going up 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. or 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. I don't know, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK or something. Whatever. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you next time on the Happy Gilmore Show.
Peace.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.